Uh, Okay.
I should probably stop the music. That's probably copyright, though.
How about now?
I don't. Yeah, you're much better now.
Oh, sweet.
You still look like
and
not Lindsay, but
I
yeah,
don't
that's
hear
fine.
anything playing.
No. I turned everything off.
Okay.
I liked it. It was awesome.
But it's probably copyright.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So for anyone who's watching, you may be wondering that this
Are we streaming?
Well, yeah, we are streaming, but we have the splash screen up so they can't see us, but they can see our 2-minute character profiles. Not even 2 minutes, like 10 seconds.
And they can hear our beautiful voices now?
Yep.
Hello, world!
But I figure we could leave it up just at least for the start, while we set things up and we're doing our rambling.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So we have that on. I'm just trying to set some last minute stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
So how was everyone's weekend?
It was alright. What did I even do?
I played a lot of Overwatch.
I'm so jealous.
A lot. Like an obscene amount. I actually still feel guilty about it.
One day soon.
Don't worry, I think I'm gonna not play for 2 months. That's how much I played. So then when you get it, I'll be brand new again.
Nice.
Yeah, I just played some Witcher 3.
I want to play that so bad.
I played nothing.
Oh, we did a little bit of Hammerwatch.
I played some Hammerwatch. Played,
How was that?
ran around as a little ranger, and it was kind of lonely alone.
Yeah, I played a little bit of Airwatch today too. I agree.
It's
very much built for multiplayer.
A very unforgiving game on single player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then when you get into multiplayer, as long as you don't have lag issues, it can either be really, really brutal, or you can just breeze through it in about 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets really polarized, I think.
It does help to have a melee class because the paladin has the shield and the rogue or the thief can just attack projectiles out of the air.
Also, the priest is literally the worst thing ever.
I don't know, I enjoyed the priest, but that was also the last time I played it. Mana didn't regen at all, so I was like, oh, I can heal, but I can barely heal because it's oh, I get into one fight, heal, and there's all my mana.
Yeah, for me, the priest's main, or not main ability, but the mana ability that they have is really cool because it can damage for halfway decent damage, or it can heal. But one, it's super hard to aim on multiplayer when people are running around.
Yep.
But the main attack ability they have is fixed range. It's not right up next to you, and it's not that it travels. It's exactly a set point a certain ways out from you. So as things are rushing you down, you can't move until you upgrade. But when you first start, every time you use it, you just stop. So it's you have to back up and hit something, back up and hit. It's really frustrating for me, at least, to play.
Yep.
Okay, does anyone need anything, have anything that they want to ask or clarify before we jump into this?
I don't think so, at least not on my end.
Nothing.
Okay. And then I think... Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, thank you for answering that, Ryan. Quarantine. I guess I should get into the habit of saying 10-day.
10-day.
Gosh, when you first said that in Slack, I was like, what? And then I remembered.
Yeah, that's how Valendor functions, is on 10 days because the months are specifically broke up. I'm good if everyone else is good.
I think so.
I'm good. Just looking at this very ominous sky. No big deal.
I'm just missing Steph. Oh yeah, it's been really stormy here. It's probably blowing your way. Sorry.
Must be nice getting all those storms that pass us right on by here in the beautiful desert.
Should
I
be
like
getting
them.
one tomorrow, a little bit in the morning, and then it's like 50% chance all through the afternoon.
Yeah, we keep getting storm warnings, but then it's like windy and nothing happens, and you guys tell me it's really coming down like a day or two later. So that's about the entire extent of our bad weather out here.
So you should become like a weatherman for like us.
Yeah, well, I think I've done that in the past.
2
when we
days
had
it'll
something
rain.
like enjoy all that snow, and then like Champs is like, oh yeah, it's like dumping here 2 days later. All right. Well, we can go ahead and get on down into the session if we'd like.
Should I remove the splash screen and
Yeah,
keep it up
yeah,
for
that's
the
fine.
recap? No, okay.
I mean, if you want, you can keep it up for the recap. We can introduce our characters, but I think it'd be better to see our faces.
Yep. All right. And splash screen is down.
Hello.
Don't look at my face. Hello.
We have another member walking in the door right now, but welcome for those of you who are joining us for the first time to Valendor. For some of you that have been here before, you'll know all about this, I'm sure. If you're just joining us, because I know we've gotten quite a few new viewers recently, Valendor is the game that I GM. It is based on a completely homebrew world. It's a 5e campaign, but the world and everything is completely homebrewed. And we'll do a little bit of a recap and stuff like that. In the meantime, well, does anyone want to do the recap? And then we'll give Steph some time to get in.
How much of a recap are we talking here?
Yeah.
I think mostly just the last episode.
Yeah, just something brief. You guys don't have to go all the way back to the beginning of time here.
Okay.
Just when we hit the shore, probably.
So we get to Green Hill, and we're trying to finish up our last portal door that we closed up in the World's Crest. And to finish this up, we have to get to Green Hill and go to this monastery and send some monks back to like help protect this portal door. And then as soon as we pull into Green Hill, we're greeted by guards who tell us that there's a quarantine, and that if we want to continue into Green Hill, we're going to get marked with something that will prevent us from leaving, or we can just peace out. Some of us were like, great, let's send a courier. And then some of us were like, I can't do that. Like, I would never do that to the monastery. And so we decided to stay. As soon as we stayed, we walked into the middle of the town square and saw that someone was getting executed. And that's like where we ended that session. We spent a whole week freaking out, trying to figure out what to do. We came back. We got into a little bit of a tussle. The person who was getting executed ran away. My character saw that she turned into a were-tiger. And then after this tussle, which we won handedly, we talked to Gregor, who is kind of pushy.
I mean, he's the paladin who was executing this individual who ran away, so...
Yeah, and he was all bent out of shape because we got in his way with his very ill-planned but long-planned plan. And that's kind of where we ended. A few of us are going separate ways after this little confrontation, and we're about to meet back up or something to figure out what we're gonna do about the quarantine. The end.
Yeah, and we can't leave because we've been told if we leave, we'll be, what was it, pain of death?
We'll die. Yeah, we'll die.
Yeah, I'm imagining that our heads will just explode as soon as we leave the island, but I don't know how it actually works.
So, Robert, I know you're asking about like a timeline clarification. I don't know if this is related or not, but I remember like they told us that the quarantine's only been in place for a week, but I've also heard like Gregor also said that they've been planning this thing for months.
Yes, that you guys had interrupted. She left her mic unmuted. That you guys had planned, or sorry, the echo's like throwing me off. You guys had interrupted.
You can mute her on your end.
Yeah, let me go ahead and do that. You know what I'm hearing is myself coming out of her mic. Yeah, or her headset. Sorry. You guys had interrupted plans that had been in the works for months. That's the wording that Gregor used. What you were told when you came into town, essentially, is that the quarantine had been in effect for a week, or a 10-day rather, because I can't even get into my own calendar.
Did Skylar gave me temp HP. That's where that's coming from.
Yep. And how long does the temp HP from your guardian thing last? Until a long rest or something, I think, right? Yeah. Or a short rest, something. A rest. So yeah, so the way that it was said was that the plans that you guys had interrupted had been in place. They had something they were planning for months. That's what Gregor was kind of upset with you guys for.
Okay. Okay.
Lindsay. Yeah, so to kind of clarify a few things, the party had been at World's Crest working, doing their job, essentially, which is to close portals. While they were there, they noticed, or they basically ran into a situation where the armory, which is like a kind of like a sacred place that is used to keep evil out of the world, was trying to be breached. Because this happened, World's Crest, which is the monastery in the north, was left very short-handed, and they were asked by the head of the order there if they would please go to their sister monastery, the closest one, which is in Green Hill, and if they would please just bring them a letter and let them know that they need aid because they don't have anyone to send to like go and gather help. Showing up in Green Hill, they were, as Champs or Kaylee had said, they were confronted at the docks and told that they weren't allowed in town because there was a quarantine in place, and the quarantine in question was because there was a lycanthrope problem in the town. Because they're part of the Maelstrom Patrol, they kind of strong-arm their way in because there's no law in the land that can impede members of the Maelstrom Patrol from completing Maelstrom basically duties. So they were admitted into the quarantine as long as they would accept becoming marked and placed under the quarantine spell, essentially. Once they got in, talking ensued, other stuff happened, and that's where we're at now. We had the splash page up for a little bit that showed you guys the characters and things of that nature, but if you guys want to do a quick little just who you are, what you're about.
I'm pulling it back up for this, so left to right.
That's me. Okay, so I am playing Skyla, a young Air Genasi ranger going through the Unearthed Arcana on the Spirit Path. She is young and kind of dumb and very quizzical and doesn't really know what's going on most of the time.
I'm playing Alaric Montefel, who is a human paladin, noble paladin, Oath of Radiance. He is just paladin to the max, and everything that entails.
I'm playing Corn Stonewood. He's a Hill Dwarf Druid. He's the most vanilla of the bunch in that so far I'm just straight PHB, although I do have an item that might let me switch my circle of the land. So currently he's forest, but I may be able to switch in certain circumstances, but yep, that's Corn.
I played Kaylee. She's a Bard College of Satire, which is also UA. And she is chasing down stories, trying to live in her father's footsteps.
And I play Nessa, a human warlock of the Unearthed Arcana Undying Light patron. She's also a tiny bit of a multi-class and a fighter, but NBD. And she recently joined the Half Steps crew of Maelstrom Patrollers because they found her in the basement of the World's Crest Monastery where she was captive with the rest of the monks. And now she's like BFFs with them, basically.
Well, it was a long boat ride.
Yeah.
Okay, and that brings us to Green Hill. As everyone can see on the world map, this is up here, the world's crest is where they were. They've traveled to Green Hill, the closest monastery, and that's where the story begins. Continues. Okay, so when we last left off, you guys had just ended your fight with everyone, essentially, and you currently have basically left two, as far as you can tell, were creatures who have animalistic characteristics familiar to like a boar. Ooh, what was that?
There was a car in my parking lot. Keep going. I'll mute.
Okay. So if you want to, you could probably just draw a parallel that those are wereboars that you were fighting in the crowded town square, essentially. At the time, Gregor and his Silver Guard were up on the stage attempting to publicly execute someone that they kept assuring you was in fact infected with lycanthrope disease, and that person was blasted off the stage in an effort to save their life forcibly by Nessa, and
It worked.
It worked. She managed to get away. Gregor posted guards on either side of the well, normal town guards on either side of the well, to keep eye over the last remaining wereboar that I believe Alaric managed to knock into the well. So there's one individual that is alive and basically floating down there until such time that Gregor sees fit to retrieve him or do something with him. Gregor and his Silver Knights, the ones that were with him, left in order to, what he said, track the tiger. And Kaylee, who was invisible, went invisible in a fit of anger, and walked away from Gregor, then tried to organize everyone on the far side of the town square to do stuff. Take it from there.
Is there any chance? I know that the guards are kind of protecting the bodies, but I was wondering if I could take a peek and see if I could specifically look at the hands of the fallen wereboars. Looking.
You want to look at the hands?
Yes, I want to see if there's a quarantine mark on them.
Okay. So you go ahead and head up to the fallen bodies, which at this point in time were drawn closer to the well so that the guards could basically watch them. As you approach, one of the town guards kind of like puts his hand up to you and goes, "Oh, no one's supposed to approach here."
No, I can stay here. I just want to have a look at their hands.
For what?
To see if they were marked.
Alright, just don't get too close. Try not to touch it. I don't want to hear about this.
Okay.
And in your interaction with him, you can kind of see that they're a little bit on edge. They're torn between just like what the heck is going on and trying to do what they were told to do. So, as you go approach, what do you want to do with the bodies exactly?
Just want to look at the hands first, see if I can recognize the mark of the silver dagger on them.
Okay. So as you approach, both the bodies are kind of slumped together. You can kind of see their hands. They're wearing very, very thick and heavy kind of coarse material robes. They're very cheap, if you will. They almost look uncomfortable to be wearing. But one of the hands, or at least similar to the hand that you have, I think it was your left hand that it was marked on, is sticking out far enough that you can see it's clearly unmarked.
Okay. Are they still in their wereboar form, or do they revert
They're still in their werewolf form.
Okay. Is there anything else I can glean from just looking at the body without stepping on the toes of the guards? Like,
there's anything specific that you were looking for? I'm pretty sure that both of them had their heads removed.
Yeah, you said they cut the heads off.
Yep.
Are they wearing the rough robes? What about the shoes? Are they wearing? What kind of shoes are they wearing?
Neither one of them are wearing shoes. You can see that one of them has something wrapped around, like tied tightly around its like ankle, and the bottom of it, which looks like some kind of like leather wrapping or something, has burst out. It looks like they had something on that when they shifted, probably transformed or was torn away.
Can I spot it in the courtyard?
The courtyard's pretty messed up right now. There's lots of, torn stuff, clothing, people in a panic, dropping stuff. You could probably spend some time going through and trying to find it if you wanted, but it would probably take a little bit of time.
I'll just ask, it's like, do you have any idea of who these people were?
I've never seen them before in my life. They're just wearing some, common everyday robes, but it's a little unusual for this time of year. It's getting a bit warm out. Other than that, no, I've never seen a creature like that walking around town.
Are they wearing a different set of clothes underneath this? I won't encroach on your job. I know you're supposed to guard these bodies, but can you see it from where you are?
It looks like they're bound up pretty tight. And from where you're sitting too, you can tell that the robes are meant to encompass pretty much the entire body.
Did you say what material those robes are made of? Because I'm sort of there, right?
Yeah, you can be hanging out with me. This can be our new detective show on ABC.
Yeah. So the material is really, really cheap. It's almost like a heavy burlap. Think like the cheapest material you can think of to make kind of a thick, heavy cloak out of, that a farmer might wear in the winter to wrap around themselves, like a traveling cloak almost. But with long sleeves, it drapes all the way down to the ground. It's knowing what you know about the creatures now, you can tell it was meant to conceal them.
Mm-hmm.
See. Do you know any can you recognize the hand of the tailor that made this?
Yeah, and as you're talking to the guards, Corin and Kaylee and Skyla, what are you guys doing?
I've wandered off to go to the tavern.
Okay, so you're making your way down, away from the courtyard, down a couple streets. It's not very far. It's probably within a few, a block or two, if you will. As you're making your way through the street, one thing, well, I'm not exactly sure if Skyla would notice this, but you do notice that I just contradict myself in one sentence. Okay, I'm not sure if Skyla would notice it, but as you're going down, there are very, very few people that are in the streets. They seem pretty empty for, roughly midday in the middle of the week. You would expect more activity, more kind of hustle and bustle. You see a couple people that are out seem to be moving very, very briskly wherever they're getting, and as soon as they get to where they're, the building they're going to, they immediately, close the door. Other than that, it seems pretty deserted. It's a little bit warm out. It's getting on to that point in the year where it's getting hotter. As you're going down, you can kind of get this weird mixture of the salt from the sea air and this breeze coming down off of the top of the hill, and it brings this kind of really nice scent of wildflowers kind of flowing over the town. So it's this really, you can tell it's a very, very peaceful, very nice, very calm sort of place normally, and it seems very out out of place for how agitated everyone is. As you're making your way through the city streets, you eventually just kind of happen upon what looks like a very, very stereotypical looking tavern. There's a wooden sign that is hanging out the front of it. On the wooden sign, there is a picture of a kind of crudely painted green hill and a very large, rotund-looking gnome that is rolling down the hill. And it is underneath that are the words, "The Tumble Down Tavern and Inn."
I love it.
All right.
If I was there.
Okay, so I'm going to walk in and make my way, like, kind of right up to the bar, take a seat. Since it's nice and warm out, I'm going to take my boots off because they're just too warm right now. Take my boots off in the bar, kind of tie 2 ends of each boot and kind of sling them over my shoulder so I don't forget them.
Okay, so as you go into the bar, you notice that it's pretty deserted. Most taverns that you've been into, even in the middle of the day on a work week, there's always like that one guy that's at the bar just that had too much to drink too early in the day. This is almost entirely deserted, except for a little tuft of hair that you see kind of walking around behind the bar. One thing you notice about the bar as you're in there is that there are a wide variety of different tables and chairs. They're all various sizes. There's small chairs, gnome-sized chairs, very, very large chairs for people even larger than, normal human size. It seems like there's just this kind of weird smattering, tables of different heights. And you notice that most of the chairs, except for a few here and there, are pushed up against the far wall, along with a lot of tables that are kind of leaned up around the place. And it almost looks like you go in, you grab a chair that fits you, and you drag it to where you want to sit. It's a little bit different than most taverns you've been into, but because of the way the town is set up and because of the mixture of different sized people in the town, that just seems to be the norm. As you stroll up to the bar, there's a couple different sized bar stools, some very, very low to the ground, some probably a little too high up. As you sit down on one of your choice and take your boots off, this little tuft of hair comes bobbing along the back of the counter, and he comes over to where you're at. You hear what sounds like someone going up steps as this rather large-looking gnome kind of steps up one step and then the other, breathing a little heavier than he should for how little effort he had to put into it. And he goes, "Oh, hi there, dearie. Anything I can get you?"
Hi, I'm Skyla, and I do want an ale, maybe, but first I have to try all your chairs because they're really cool. And she's just like bolt off barefoot and just like pull a couple different chairs and like go sit in a really tiny one and just like and then go sit in a big one and be like, "I'm so tiny," and then just like kind of be ridiculous for a little bit before going back to the bar. Like, okay.
So as you begin kind of like introducing yourself, he goes, "Oh, that's a lovely name there, Skyla. My name's Yvette." And then you kind of walk off and start sitting around. He kind of cocks his head, chuckles a little bit as you start like running around trying all the different chairs. And as you're like picking out different ones, you sit in one of the smaller ones, and he goes, "Oh, that's my favorite. It's a bit wider, but it's still low to the ground." And then he goes and you see him drawing an ale for you and putting on the counter. In the meantime, while you're running around doing that, Corin, what are you doing?
So last I heard, there was Kaylee did her message to meet at the manor, and I've stuck around to watch Alaric do his investigative work, but seeing it wrapping up, I will start making my way towards the manor.
Okay, so you're kind of just heading off towards the manor. Mm-hmm. Kaylee, what are you doing?
I'm still invisible because that goes for an hour. I would have quietly followed Alaric and Yasuo to see what they would discover. And then once they were done, I would head back to the manor too.
Okay, so as you hang around watching Alaric and Yasa, Corin, you begin making your way essentially just right around the corner from where you're at right now, going around kind of the lavish, kind of elvish style looking temple. Around the corner, you come to the front of a very, very kind of over the top elvish manor of sorts. It's completely gated in this really, really beautiful but still kind of imposing metal worked fence that has different kinds of leaves and stuff worked into the metal. At the front of it, there are two very, very how do you want to say prim and proper looking elvish guards. They're wearing very, very, I keep saying very, very, can't stop it. It's my words tonight. They're wearing clean, pressed, shined, polished armor. They each have a polearm in their hand, and they are standing very still and at attention at either side of the gate to the front of this manor.
All right, I will see them there, and I will just sort of nod in passing and just keep moving and find somewhere else to wait up for the rest of the party.
They don't even flinch.
And I'm not going to linger in their eyesight, so probably just like turn a corner and find somewhere else to chill.
Okay. They as you walk by, you nod at them. They blank stare straight ahead as they're standing there, hands on weapon. You can tell that they're resting on the weapons, using it to support themselves, but they seem pretty intent on not moving.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. So that'll bring us back to Alaric, Nessa, and Kaylee. You had asked the guards if they could, or what material, or if they knew a tailor that had made those robes.
Yeah, I think that's the last thing I asked.
Okay. So as you're asking this, the guard kind of looks at you like, I mean, I imagine something that cheap doesn't have a maker's mark on it or anything like that. You could find it at almost any general store I've ever traveled to. They might sell some in town, but usually this time of the year, they're not going to have those. And most people in a town like this, if they need it, they've already got it. So I don't know where to help you.
So would it be safe to assume that if someone has these clothes, they've likely been here, at least since the last winter?
I mean, it's possible. It's it's a small town, but it is a port town, so we get a lot of sea travel. I mean, I'd imagine that if anyone were here, they've at least been here a week. So
how many ways are there into this town?
There's two main ways. There's through the harbor, and then there's the main road that leads out of town. You go through quite a bit of farm, and then beyond that, you might run into another town here or there, somewhere else on the island. But for the most part, most coming and goings, other than trade with the other local villages, is done through the harbor. So
There was still a guard at the harbour when we came in, and I assume that there are some more at the road. Anyone who comes in.
I assume that there's more posted, more than just there.
Is there any interest in the fact that these creatures were outside of the town and then came in and were not marked? How did they get in? How did they get past the illustrious Sealed Guard if this is their specialty?
Well, I mean, I don't know what you know about the quarantine, but
Not much.
I don't have a mark either.
Oh, don't you?
How's that?
Well, the quarantine was put in place with people in town.
I don't understand.
Well, the quarantine's in place. When it's put in place, and I don't know much about the magic or whatever it is behind it, but everyone that was in town is under the effect of it, and people that come into town, they've been marking on top of that.
So the people who are in town aren't marked, but are still affected.
So what
That's my
prevents them
understanding.
from leaving the area?
From my understanding, everyone in town was told that if they leave, then they'll end up dead, that you can't leave the quarantine.
Has anyone tried?
Not that I know of. I'm not putting my life on the line like that. You're more than welcome to walk out on your own if you want to see what happens, but...
I very well might.
And this quarantine's been going on for a week, is that right?
Yes.
There was an attack by a werewolf, I'm told?
Well, the Lord, his lordship, Elian Talver, was the one that called the Silver Guard here because of some issues that had been going on. We're not supposed to talk about it, though. So, and he kind of glances nervously at the guard that's next to him, who's kind of giving him that, like, you're going to get us in trouble look. And he goes, you best be taking that up with either Gregor or with Sir Telver himself.
Who would you recommend?
Okay, I think Gregor's
Who do you like better?
Well, Talver signs my paychecks, but he told me to listen to Gregor, so, take your pick of poison, I guess.
Who does Gregor listen to in town? Doesn't seem like he's much interested in other opinions or voices. Is there anyone that he respects here?
He's been essentially given free run of the place. Him and Telver signed some sort of agreement. I'm not exactly sure of the specifics. Look, all I know is one day their boat docks. That afternoon, everyone was brought to the town square. They were told that a quarantine was being put in place. And the next day, there was a bright flash of light in the sky. And then we were told that if we were to leave the town, we would be going against the quarantine. And we were told, us guards were told, that we have to cooperate and help Gregor in anything that he needs.
See.
But this all happened without you knowing anything had happened to make this start. Like,
Again,
there'd been no panic, no...
I mean, there was talk, but outside of rumors, you'd have to talk to someone that knows more about exactly what the cause was.
And who would that be?
Well, Gregor or Lord Talver would probably be your two best bets.
Just a few more questions, then I'll let you get back to your work.
You're gonna get me in trouble here. I mean, you guys helped us out, and I appreciate it. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't been here to handle what happened, but I've got my job to look after too.
I absolutely understand.
But
what was the name of the woman here that was on trial?
And as the GM goes and looks up, because he just had it pulled up.
it's
Sharmila.
Sharmila?
Sharmila.
Sharmila. And why was she in chains? Or not chains, well, in figurative chains? Is this another question for Talvo?
It's just a bit of a difficult question. She'd been here for a while. She's one of us, so she's a friend of mine actually. So it's hard to discuss. But apparently, according to Gregor, that he had gone through and talked to quite a few people and found her out to be one of the people that was infected, and she was taken into custody a few days after the quarantine went into place.
So Gregor mentioned vile activities that she was involved with. Do you know anything about that?
I mean, they say about lycanthropes, right? I mean, crazy bloodlust. You go and infecting anyone that you can get your hands on. You lose control of yourself and become more of an animal than a person.
But have there been any murders?
And I would say that for your friend Shamila, I don't think that's true for her. When she was free, she ran. She didn't affect other people. She didn't fight anyone. She ran. I don't know anything about lycanthropes, but I think it might still be your friend.
Like I said, I mean, it's been a rough week.
But again, have there been any murders? Like, is there any reason besides the fact that she is this to be upset about it?
Make a persuasion roll.
All right. I am so not proficient in that. Oh.
I'm staying quiet.
He nat 20'd it, just watch.
Okay. Kind of looking at you, and with some of the things that Alaric has been saying about, his friend running away, things like that, he kind of, looks around. The other guard gives him a bit of a, quick head shake, don't. He leans in a little bit closer to you, and as he does, he kind of whispers, before Gregor and his men showed up, there was some talk about something that happened in the manor. Lord Talver entertains, let's call them guests, every so often, come over from the mainland, elvish noblewomen paying him a visit. Well, rumor was one showed up, something happened, and she didn't leave. A day or so after that, some of the people that worked the manor began talking around the tavern and, out in the fields, stuff like that. And word got around that she had been mauled to death or something. They tried to stabilize her. You never find a noble that doesn't have a cleric on hand. But after she was taken care of and healed up, supposedly something happened, something took over her. She began, I don't know. I mean, rumors of lycanthrope, of an infection began going around town. Gregor's men showed up not even 10 days after that, and no one's seen her or Lord Talver since, and locked up in that manor. But honestly, you didn't hear it from me.
Of course not.
Okay, even just saying these things can lead to trouble for me and my family.
Understand. We appreciate your forthrightness with us, and we will not take your confidence lightly, and we will not betray it.
I mean, chances are you could pick this talk up almost anywhere. It's around the town, but with everything that's going on lately, people have been a bit on edge about it, so rumors turning to reality too quickly, if you will.
Well, rest assured we have nothing against the city guards, so even if worse comes to worse, we're not going to point out you.
Well, it's good to know. And with that, he kind of stands up a little bit straighter. His friend over there kind of not even wanting to look at him or talk to him. So while you guys are doing that, wrapping up there, Skyla, what are you doing?
Okay. So after rampaging around the room, sitting in every chair possible, I'm gonna go ahead and sit in the highest stool because she just likes being up high, and grab the ale, take a couple swigs. I'm sorry, I forgot your name already.
That's all right, dude. You seem to be having a bit of a fun. My name's Evac. I run the Tumble Down Tavern with, me and my better half here. can I get you anything? I mean, I got you an ale over there. You said you wanted one. Did you want anything else? You know, we have some of the world famous Green Hill honey.
Ooh, honey.
Bit of that on toast.
I'm from really up high on the mountain on the mainland, and I don't think I've had a lot of honey, if any.
Well, Green Hill honey is, we like to call it world famous. It might not be as potent as some of the halfling honey out there, but, it's locally gathered here. Actually, the batch that I have was gathered by my better half. I should be back sometime soon, but I have a spot of it under the counter here, if you want some.
Sure.
Okay. And with that...
Oh, how much do I owe you for the ale and the honey toast?
Spot of company. Come on.
Aww.
He's gonna grab the ale. He's gonna pour himself one. So with 2 ales, he grabs a jar and he climbs up on top of the counter and then climbs into this very large, rotund kind of gnome. Climbs into the very high chair, bar stool, right next to you, and hands you the ale. Takes a bit of the honey. And there's 2 spoons that are sticking out of it. And he kind of like just takes a big spoonful and goes, here, try some of that.
Oh, Jesus. All right. She puts the whole spoon in her mouth and just like, eyes just like huge and just like, oh my God, it's so good. It's so sweet. It's better than the candy I've had.
Oh, well, I mean... It's one of my favorite treats.
Oh my goodness. I need to find Kaylee. She's gonna go bananas for this candy sweetness. That's amazing.
Well, I'm glad you like it.
Do you want to try some of my candy?
Sure. Yeah.
She kind of rifles through her bag, which is like a total disaster. It's like what most guys think of a woman's purse, like a never-ending black hole. It's just like... She pulls out a couple flowers.
So as you're doing this, he's like got the spoon in his mouth and he's kind of leaning, kind of a bemused smile on his face. He looks like he's really enjoying himself.
I grab a couple flowers. I put most of them on the counter and then just like take a bite out of the other one.
Oh, you could. A little bit of shock on his face when he sees this, but he leans down. He says, well, which one's your favorite?
These red ones are okay, but they're kind of stinky. These purple ones are pretty good. I like those ones the best, I think.
All right. With that, he takes a purple one and he kind of looks at it and he smells it and then he takes a bite and just eats the whole flower off the top. Kind of chews on it a little bit. He goes, that's pretty tasty. I'd have to say I prefer the honey a little bit more, but
I think I do too. Don't tell Kaylee. Shh.
Well, I mean, if you've never had honey before, you want me to get you a jar?
I can do that?
So with that, he kind of like rotundly gets down.
Rotundly.
He does. He's very round. He probably has trouble like tying his shoes.
That's my new favorite adverb.
Rotundly.
He does. It's like me getting dressed for work in the morning.
Oh, stop.
He kind of swings himself down. He swings all the way around, lowers his legs down onto the bar, lets go of the bar stool. He walks over and he kind of just lays down on the bar and just like starts reaching over the bar, and he finds a little jar. He just starts spooning honey into it, and he puts a little bit of a cork lid on the top of it, and he hands you the jar. It's kind of like pouring down the side. It's sticky, and he's like, I could wash this off for you if you want.
No, that's okay. That's fine. She like takes it, sticky hands, and puts it right into her bag.
Okay, so you now have a small bottle of Green Hill honey, and at that, the door to the tavern opens. And Evac, who is now kind of like holding the thing up over, kind of rolls over on the bar and looks at the door. He goes, "Oh, dear, you're home. Oh, I've been waiting for you all day. What? Did Did you get lost up on the hill? And with that, we're gonna go to Corin.
Alright, so, I mean, I'm just, like, still around the corner of the, manor, I guess, waiting for the rest of the crew to show up. I would start looking at this temple. I don't know if there is an entrance on that side of it, but maybe poke my head in, figure out which deity it's for, see just what's happening, and there are a lot of people there. What's the happy haps?
Okay. Yep. So on the temple side that you're on now, it's the back side of the temple. You do see that there are 1 or 2 doors on the back side of it that are kind of worked into the stonework, but they're very, very closed up looking. They don't really seem like a well-traveled entrance, like maybe just either for clerical stuff or for whatever reason, like just an exit out the back. When you were on the front part of the temple, you did see very, very large... I can't stop saying very, very tonight. It's the only words I know, that and rotundly. There was a large,
very rotundly.
Very, very rotundly. There was a very rotund looking door. No. There was 2 kind of like really tall, grand entrance style doors that were completely open. Being midday, a lot of temples, they're just open to the public, at least in the common area in the front. It is an elvish temple, and I have a note here of what deity it is. Are you looking to get into the temple itself, or...?
I mean, if I see that there's not, like, a public entrance here, I wouldn't press the issue, but just, like, poke my head and see what's up. But, I mean, last I heard, go to the manor, so I'm still waiting for someone else from the half steps to show up.
Okay. I had a thing here. I will get you the deity if you really want. It's elvish deity though. You recognize it, especially because of the architecture and the symbology of it. Yeah. So, Alaric, Kaylee, and Nessa, what are you guys doing?
Well, I think we've been dismissed. Do you guys think we've been dismissed? I think we've been dismissed. Are we done?
You can't see me. I don't even know if you know that I'm there. I'm invisible,
Alaric?
just following you guys around.
What? What, dear?
One last question. Could you point us to a smithy, or where can we possibly get weapons to be able to protect ourselves with dangers such as these?
Oh, yeah, right. So what you want to do is you want to head directly this way, and he kind of points basically in this general direction over here. You can see that there's a couple more industrial-looking buildings on this portion of the town. Beyond that, you can see where the hill kind of rises up in the distance, and there's like the waterfall coming off. You can see just barely over the top of these buildings. He says if you go right down here, across the main roadway, you can't miss it.
All right. Yes, sir. Is there anything else?
I don't have any more questions. Just I sort of like half bow to him and like half bow like slightly deeper to the annoyed guard. I'm just thank you for the information and your patience. We'll get out of here.
Yeah. And
I look from there. I'm just going to be going to the mansion because I'm like I don't need anything from the smith, so I would peace out.
And if you all ever need help in the future, myself, me and my friends would be happy to lend you aid, I'm sure. So, don't forget us if you need our help.
That's very generous of you. You take care of yourself. It's it's people are on edge in town, so just careful where you step.
I'm learning that. Thank you. And then begin off to the smithy.
Mm-hmm.
After you, darling.
Thank you. Strut.
Okay, Kaylee, what are you doing?
I'm still invisible, and so once they say they're gonna go to the smithy, I just make my way to the mansion to wait for everybody else. I'll eventually run into Corin.
Okay.
Silently and invisibly.
Why can't I find my notes on the temple anywhere for some reason. So those are gone forever. Okay, so you're following them to the smithy, you said?
I'm going to the mansion.
Okay, you're going to the manor. So as you make your way up the road around the side of the temple, you come upon the same site that that Corn was met with. You see this kind of very over the top, gaudy looking elvish manor. Go ahead and give me. Wouldn't be history. It'd be. Give me an insight roll.
Inside.
Give me a personal experience roll. With advantage, so well.
Not helpful.
Little helpful. Let me tell you if it was helpful or not. So as you're coming up to this, having spent quite a bit of time in your earlier days in the circles of elvish kind of nobility and royalty, and knowing the kind of duality of the elvish kind of noble life right now at the point that it's at, where you have a lot of these people that have this kind of old blood, old birthright kind of mentality, and then you have the people that nowadays are new wealth and new power. Someone that has invented some sort of new kind of way to tweak a bit of magic and has made a decent living off of it. And there's kind of a stark contrast between the two. And it shows a lot in the different types of parties that they have, the different types of, accommodations that they sort of keep themselves to. When you come up to this manor specifically, you are immediately kind of greeted with this immediate sense that this is a new royalty, a new blood, a new type of thing. It's very kind of ostentatious. It's very the like columns that go up are a bit gaudy for most elven architecture. Even the workings, the fence that lines the outside of it, it's a lot more has gone into it to make it look good versus function. It's got a lot of form versus function, and it kind of stands out really, especially to you, in stark contrast to some of the older kind of noble lines that you've entertained for. As you're going up, you see the two guards on either side standing in front of the fence. On the fence, there is a family crest with the family name Talver on it. If you want to go ahead and give me a history check.
I do want to do that. Come on, Kaylee. All right, I'll take it.
Just by seeing it, it was more seeing the crest that kind of brought the name to the front of your mind. But you actually recognize the name Talver, and now that you're thinking on it, you've heard it before. The name Talver rings out to you, but the first name, the Elian, doesn't really kind of stand out to you. You're actually thinking of his father, Lord Talver, who you've in some way or another had a running in, or at least been introduced to at a party of someone else's. Not enough to recognize, like recall immediately, but in passing, you've seen this person at one of the parties that you actually, or one of the numerous ones, maybe multiple ones, but you the name kind of stands out to you. And one thing that you do recognize about the crest, the styling of it, and it calling back these memories of meeting with his father, is that his father is very, very old blood. He's very, very stuffy. He's very kind of that old mentality amongst the elves. And to see his crest on a manor like this seems very, very weird to you.
Okay.
So as you're coming up to it, still invisible at this point, although it's probably about, I'd say about halfway through it. You see the guards on either side. As you're kind of coming up to the gate with the crest on it, what do you want to do?
Do I see Corn anywhere?
Corin is around. You'd have to walk past the guards. Keep going. He'd be around the back of the temple, kind of hanging out.
I'm not going to go around the back of the temple. Instead, I will... all my spells make so much noise. I was going to mess with them. But then I'll be making a ton of noise, so I won't do that. I'll cross the street and wait on the other side of the house. Hopefully, like, if there's like a round... I just want to have a view of the front of the house so I can see my friends come up, but I want to be around the corner so no one sees me just appear out of thin air in 30 minutes.
Okay, so if you keep going around the corner of the back of the temple, where all the columns kind of are, you'd probably run into Corin eventually, because he's around that area kind of inspecting the back of the temple at this point.
Oh,
So
in
you
that
still have a line of
case...
sight on the front gates.
Oh, perfect. When I see Corin, man, I can't even cast any fun spells on him because all of my spells hurt. So I won't cast anything on him.
It's okay, I'm a tank.
I'll just whisper to him from behind him and just give him a bit of a scare and say, "What are you looking at?"
Well, you know, just admiring the stonework of the temple. You can't phase Corin. You would know this by now.
Totally unfazed. That's the best.
Corin's unfazable.
Just look
One
at
of these-
stonework.
One of these days, you old dwarf. One of these days.
One
of these days indeed,
You
Kaylee.
old? You old?
Wow.
And, you know, we're having this conversation hush hush. I'm not exactly talking out the side of my mouth, but, like, I would have glanced over my shoulder, seen that she's not there, and just be like, oh, you're still invisible. So
She's
it's like,
not there.
it's like,
I'm going to
okay,
convince you one of these days that I'm going to be a voice in your head, and I'm not really going to be there, but you're going to still hear me talking.
I know how your message cantrip works, Kaylee.
Corin!
Anyways, what have you guys learned while I was making my way over here? And
Actually, some really interesting things, and I'll fill them in.
All right. So Alaric and Nessa, you guys are heading over to the smithy. As you guys kind of make your way around, you can see a little bit of smoke coming out of the top, hear the banging of the hammer in the forge, and you guys basically feel like you found it. You see a little bit of a wooden sign. It literally just has like a farm, like a shovel and a sword crossing on the front of it, and it says Smith underneath it. As you guys go in, you don't see anyone, but you can hear banging kind of, you know, behind the counter. There's a door that leads to where you can tell the forge is, and you don't see anyone at the counter at the time. Skyla, in the tavern, Evac has just kind of like turned, he's giving you the honey, you're shoving it into your thing. Evac's kind of turned around and said, "Oh, hey dear, how's it going?" to the person that has just entered.
I turn to look at the person.
Okay. So as this person's coming in, you see that he's kind of wearing like what almost looks like a large net on like pretty big oversized hat. Pulling it off and kind of hanging it up by the door. Turn around, you're met with a fairly handsome looking younger human male. He is carrying kind of a large pot, looks like a clay pot, and you can see that there's some kind of similar looking honey kind of dripping on the side of it. And he carries it over towards the counter, leans up to Evac, goes, "Oh, hey dear, have you had a busy day?" Gives him a little bit of a peck on the cheek, puts it down, goes around behind the counter, and begins kind of washing up.
I kind of just stare at him and all the honey, and I just go, "Nice hat."
He looks at you, goes, "Thank you," and he kind of like gets a little bit of a blush to him and walks away. Keeps like cleaning up mugs and stuff like that. As you're kind of sitting there, Evac still like laying up on the bar, kind of like playfully like kicking his feet and like looking at his husband just sitting there. The husband kind of just asking him how his day was, how things are going, stuff like that. What do you want to do?
So I am going to. I guess we'll get down to business. Skylar, just drinking her ale, like sticking her finger into her bag and just like scraping the honey off the sides. So we were in the town square. Well, I guess my friend's on here, I forgot. So I was in the town square. Well, it wasn't really square, it was kind of round, I guess. That place with the well, you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I was avoiding it myself today, but
Why were you avoiding it?
I don't want to interrupt your story, dear. Why don't you go ahead and finish up?
So I was there with my friends because we just came here today, like, I don't have a watch, not that long ago, and this like kind of mean looking guy had this like kind of nice looking lady up on the stage with a sword, and some like crazy things happened and people turned into animals, but like stood on 2 legs.
With that, Evac kind of sits up a little bit and is looking at you, kind of like taking in the story a little bit more seriously. His husband, Aileen, I've wrote it down. I can't even pronounce it. I can't talk tonight, guys. I can put it down. I'll just type it in.
Alien. Alien is what it looks like. Alien.
It's Aileen.
Yeah.
Alien.
It's like, I think it's Greek. He's actually like stopped what he was doing and is kind of like 2 hands on the bar, kind of like looking at you intently. And he's like, as he's like, so, is that true? What? You can see he's got like 8 million questions like racing across his face. He's like, so, how did you just got into town today? I thought they weren't accepting anyone else in.
I don't know. We pulled up to the dock, and then these guys who said they were the brass guard, the copper guard, I don't know, the guard, and they put these weird stampy things on us, or this weird thing. It's on the palm of the hand, right?
It's on the back of the hand.
This thing. And said that we couldn't leave now, which I don't like.
Skylar's holding it up so she can see it. This thing right here.
But yeah, they were, I mean, I don't know, we thought we were trying to help because there was a lady on the stage, but she looked like a person, not an animal. But I guess she's bad? I don't know. I didn't like it. So me and my friends are in the Maelstrom Patrol, and we are good guys. So we thought we were doing good things. But I guess we kind of messed things up, but we had to fight some of they kind of look like really big pigs, but they had like things on their faces. I don't know. I was really up high. I was floating.
You see Evac is like nervously just like, honey. His husband is sitting there kind of taking in a little bit, and he's like, well, so the woman on stage, what happened to her?
Well, Nessa did something, I think, and she flew back, and then she ran away.
So she got away? What about the man with the sword?
I don't know. He helped us with the piggy-looking ones, and then he yelled at us for messing up his plans.
So where's the lady from the stage?
I don't know. She ran away, like really far, and there was like all this smoke that kept coming out of the well, so it was really hard to see. That's why I floated up, because then I could kind of see better, but I couldn't see into the smoke still.
So she got away, but did Gregor go after her? What is?
No, because then there was one that kind of looked like a wolf, But Kaylee made that one, I think, because he went after it with his sword, and it just went through it, and nothing happened.
Okay. And with that, Aileen, it looks at Evac, and he kind of gives him one of those, like, you know, significant other, like, knowing looks. Evac kind of nods to him and goes, "Yeah, go find out what you can. I'll stay here and entertain our guest. She's a delight. So
What are you gonna go find out?
I just have some people to talk to. I have to kind of see what's going on. I know quite a few people were in the town square today, so."
Oh, well, I'm pretty sure most of the people are okay. I think we got them all to run away.
Oh, I'm sure they are, but they're probably scared, so...
Oh, I'm scared too. But I'm part of the Mouse Patrol, so we have to be brave. Lindsay dies.
She's dead.
She's dead.
She's dead. Lindsay's gone.
It was nice playing with you. Good, GG, good game.
Good, GG.
Valendor, GG. Do you know who the lady is?
Well, yeah, she came in here quite often. We actually were good friends with her. She provided a lot of the meat that we used for the inn here when the sailors would come in. She was actually the really well-known hunter in town. She would bring game in quite often.
What kind of game?
Like birds, pheasants, deer on occasion, foxes, rabbits.
Foxes?
Oh,
that kind of foxes, okay.
Uh,
Not my kind of foxes, the little foxes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's okay.
Where are you from?
Well, I'm from the high mountain on the dwarfy side of Heartland.
At that, Evac kind of turns and looks at his husband and goes, "Can we keep her?
Yes.
No, she's ours.
We have all the honey. You have to watch it, though. It's very good."
Oh, I know. I can tell.
And he kind of like leans back and it's very good.
Little Skylar kind of looks at herself. And pushes the honey down further into her bag.
And with that, the beekeeper, the alien, because I can't say his name correctly, Aileen, walks out, leaves his stuff there, and you and Evac continue on with your conversation, hang out in the bar, unless you want to do anything else.
No, that's it for now.
Okay. Alaric and Nessa, what did you guys want to do at the smithy?
Well, I want to sell my chainmail, and I think Alaric was going for some silvered weapon.
Yeah, I'm also going to sell my chainmail as well. It's weighing me down at this point.
All right. So you guys are in. There's no one at the smith, right, or at the counter.
But we can hear banging, yeah?
You can hear banging.
I'm going to do a blacksmith-ish yell into the smithy.
How does that go?
I don't know, it's just like, hey!
Wow.
Hey! I'm so glad. That is perfectly.
You're welcome. I'm glad I could clear that up.
It's only restricted to blacksmiths. No one else in the entirety of Valendor is allowed to say, hey!
Hey!
Shut up! I don't know, man!
Yo, what's up?
Hey!
What the heck else am I gonna say? Horseshoes and nails!
You said that it was a black.
Adrian!
Yeah.
Clang, clang, clang!
Clang, clang! Anyone else?
Clang, clang,
Clang, clang!
Clang, clang, clang goes the smithy.
Well, I'm more about like, I am comfortable in this location and I know how loud to yell, etc., etc.
Clang.
Hey!
Can I make a check with my smithing tool to see if I know how to get his attention?
Yep, basically what I'm going at here.
So,
Oh.
So, as you let out the hey, you hear the banging in the back of the shop, the forge stop, and half a second goes by before you hear the return call, yo! And that's how you know that you're talking to a fellow blacksmith in Valendor.
Good, yes!
Like a secret handshake.
After Alaric, yeah, he's a real smith.
It's good to know. Good to know. Seems we've come to the right place.
I'm so embarrassed right now.
So, as the banging kind of stops, you see coming out of the back, covered in soot, wearing a very, very thick apron, kind of dark hair, young, human, very well built. You can tell, someone with, that knows the secret smithy yell can tell just by looking at the person. He's built like a blacksmith. He even knows the yo. He goes, oi, can I help you with something?
Well, I've got a couple of things to sell.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Toss them up to the counter. Let's see what you got. And he kind of looks at the tools in his hand, sees kind of an empty, throws them down in there, smacks his hands around. There's some soot coming off of them.
Okay, well, from whatever bag I have, I unpack my chainmail armor that I've been carrying around and put it on the counter of the blacksmith. Hey.
Oh, that's pretty nice. Yeah, we don't get much armor around these parts. From most armor we've seen in the past, week or two. But, yeah, I could probably, I could take this off your hand, probably pawn off on a sailor or something like that. I won't be able to give you full price for it. Might have to pay a little bit less than even the use. If you hang on to it, take it to a city, you'll probably get a little bit more.
Well, I'm not entirely attached to it. I'd rather get rid of it sooner rather than later.
All right, I'd probably only be able to pay about 25 gold for it, though.
Being a smith, do I know, how much-ish percentage that is? So I feel like that's a pretty fair deal, or...
So, knowing, being in the trade and stuff like that, you know that used stuff usually sells for a lot less. Call it 50%. This is about under 50. This is under 50%, but because of it being a small kind of farming town, you know that most of his work is going to be in shovels and things like that. So him offering you less because he has to offload it to someone essentially. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't have a lot of use for it, and that's kind of what he was saying, is that if you hang on to it until you get to a city, you'll probably make a few gold pieces more.
Yeah, well, I'd rather be lighter in chainmail than heavier in gold. So I think that's very generous of you. Thank you, sir.
All right. So he goes and takes chainmail, throws it on the thing. Is there anything else before we wrap it up?
Well, that's all I really had here.
All right.
So I see mostly farming implements here. Are you capable of silvering weapons by any chance?
Yeah. I'm actually been tending to some of the Silver Guard's weapons myself. They seemed impressed enough with it, so I could. I'll warn you ahead of time if you're. Then I'm imagining you're looking to get something done. I'm a bit light on silver. We don't actually have kind of a direct source. If you can provide the silver, I can reduce the cost.
I just have 8 pieces, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Actually, I should have a lot more. I just I converted everything to gold because I didn't think about that.
So essentially, if you can provide him with half the cost, which is normally 100 gold pieces, to silver something, if you can provide him half the cost in silver and then the rest in gold, he would do that for you.
Okay. I know I have a lot of silver pieces, but I didn't think it mattered. So I just rounded it all up to gold. So, it will.
I think, what's the exchange rate? Is 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you would have to provide him 500 silver pieces.
It's 50 gold.
Yeah, I can.
And then it's another 50 gold on top of that to have it done, I believe.
Okay. I have to go back and see what was in the chest of Lathaner's temple to see how many gold pieces that was. Or, I mean, silver pieces that was.
Okay.
Because I just converted everything to gold for simplicity, but I see the problem with that now. So I'm gonna do that real quick, and you can move on to somebody else.
Okay. Let's go to Corin and Kaylee, while Alaric counts out pennies.
Alright, so what's our plan of attack here? You're the one who suggested going to the manor, so how do you want to do this?
There's a chance that I could still try to infiltrate the manor, but he's been locked in there with, I'm guessing, some kind of mistress, maybe someone has some sort of power over him, and that doesn't really guarantee that I can get in there. If he's in control, I can probably appeal to his pride and his new money, whatever. But if he's not in control, we have to find another way in.
Yep.
Which we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
In light of this,
I do suspect his guest, however.
Yep.
In light of this, yes? What?
In light of this, we perhaps want to go to the monastery first, because there we have a clear course of action. They may be able to inform our next steps, but it seems like we're taking pretty much a stab in the dark with the Lord right now, as things stand.
We can go to the monastery first, sure.
Yep, but...
We need the rest of the party, but...
Yep, we'll wait here for them to show up, but... Yep, I believe we are best suited to go to the... to the monastery first, let them know maybe they have some means of getting out of the quarantine and heading up to the world's crest, and then we can figure things out from there, but...
Should we ask about the monastery while we're waiting? To see if anything suspicious is going on there before we walk in?
I mean, I suppose it couldn't hurt, but based on what Gregor said, it seemed like he was unaware of anything happening there. He said we could just go to the monastery and get on with our business, so... I don't know if there's anything, but as long as we're waiting around for the rest of the party, can't hurt.
Agreed. I mean, I think we should stay close to the mansion as we wait for them to return, but... what other kinds of buildings are in our neighborhood?
The area that you guys are at is mostly the manor, the back side of the temple from where you're at. A couple outlying buildings on the side of the manor look like servants' quarters and stuff like that. The stables. Directly next to the temple, you can see right here the barracks. It's kind of more of a squat, militaristic-looking building. It's got smaller windows, stuff like that. You can see a few other things from where you guys are at. There's another well down the way. You see a couple people, very, very few again, as you guys are walking through the town. There's one or two people out here or there, and they're kind of scurrying off to their destination. They're not lingering in the streets. It's not like as many people as you saw in the town hall. You would expect more people out and about. You can see one or two people at the well drawing water and kind of rushing off back to home. A few shops here and there. Let's see, from where you're at, no, you can't see that. Yeah, so there's a couple things around. I mean, it's not a very large town. You could probably walk the whole thing in a matter of less than an hour probably.
I tell Corin, I'm not sure until we get a good beat on who the players are in this town. I'm not sure if I want to be seen questioning people yet. Do you want to make a go for those people drawing water out of the well?
Yep, I can give it a shot. And I'll make my way over to them. Just sort of hail them. Hello there? What's up?
New Smithy in town.
Throw up some Druidic gang signs.
So as you kind of walk up to him, the one that's drawing the water out, the first one that you saw there was already long gone. The one that was waiting to draw water is a gnome woman. She kind of got the bucket. As you come up, she kind of nervously kind of like glances at you. You can see her almost like hurry up. And she, terribly busy. I got a lot going on. I can't really talk right now. I have places to be. I'm sorry. I'm sure you understand.
I drop a coin. It seemingly comes out of nowhere, but I like toss a coin by her feet.
She kind of like looks at it and she's like, I think you dropped something. Sorry. And she starts to like scamper off.
You have a good day, ma'am.
You too. And she like goes.
I pick up my gold coin.
Mm-hmm. And I sort of just shrug in the air. I don't know if it's at Kaylee.
I give him a pat on the back. Good try, old friend.
Yeah, well, let's find a spot where the rest of the crew can find us. Although, I don't know if we want to be seen. I mean, I know you won't be seen, but shouldn't be seen loitering in view of the guards.
So, I'm just pointing out, Alaric, in the group journal, you guys have 5,000 silver pieces right now.
Okay.
That would be in a bag of holding somewhere, though.
Yeah, I don't know that. Yeah, this is kind of a bust for me.
Okay, so what do you guys want to do as you're sitting at the smithy? Oh, well, let me ask first, Corin and Kaylee, where are you guys going to be?
Back over here, oops, that's the wrong tool.
Yeah, I mean, I'd
Where we
wander
started.
back over to behind the temple. With my stone sense, I don't think that one carried over to the new sheet, but because I'm a dwarf, I'm like, that is some fine stonework in the temple.
Okay.
I still do want to be somewhere that where my invisibility wears off. I'm just not like materializing out of thin air.
Alright, so I think Stone Sense gives you advantage on history checks to...
Yep, yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily trying to actively use it, but just because I am a dwarf, I'm appreciating the stonework.
Yeah, go ahead and... Well, if you don't have the skill input...
Well, it should just be double my proficiency bonus.
Is that what it is?
Pulling it up, stone cunning, one of you make an intelligence history check related to the origin of stonework, or consider proficient in the history skill and add double your proficiency bonus to the check instead of your normal proficiency bonus. So I can roll intelligence and then add +6.
Okay.
And
Alright,
some pretty stones.
Elves don't know how to work stone.
Yeah.
No, so glancing at the temple, looking at it, you can tell it's newer. It's 7 plus 6, right?
Correct, yep.
Okay, so it's a 13. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry, I was going off of the 7. Looking at it, you can tell it's definitely newer architecture. You can tell looking at it that the stones aren't from here. Just judging by the local area around you, unless there's some very out of place quarry in the middle of the island, the stones were brought from off the island here to build it. And you can tell that judging by this and the masonry around the Elvish Manor, that they were built roughly around the same time.
Okay. I will just sort of, again, under my breath so that it doesn't seem like I'm just talking into air, but I will let Kaylee know that it seems like the temple and the manor were built around the same time from same stone.
Okay, and then as you guys are doing that, go ahead and give me a perception check. In the meantime, Alaric and Nessa, what are you guys doing?
I'm afraid I don't have any silver on me. Is there anything that you have available to make anything, or are you completely out of silver here?
I mean, I might be able to silver a dagger. That's about it. If you look, and he kind of like indicates the sword at your side. If he's like, if you're looking for something full length, I'm not gonna have it. like I said, Silver Guard came into town, what little I had, and they provided most of what I used.
So, I understand. Well, we might have some in our personal bank. I'll have to check on that.
Oh, of course. If you have the materials, I'd be more than happy to.
Right.
Have it done fairly quickly.
All right. Well, I may be seeing you again shortly.
Okay, sounds good. With that, he pays Nessa the 25 gold for the chainmail, and bids you adieu. If there's nothing else that you guys want to buy from him.
Nah.
Okay. All right, Skyla, what do you want to do?
Oh, what do you want? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, let's see, we were talking about the wolf lady, or the were lady.
And eating honey.
Huh? And eating honey.
By the spoonful.
Skyla turned a little, like, aqua, because she's starting to feel sick from all the, honey.
On an empty stomach, drinking ale at, 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, honey's high in calories.
Yeah.
I don't know if that does anything for alcohol.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
Chatting with my new gnome friend. Oh my gosh, I was gonna ask something, I forgot. How long have these weird animal people been here?
Well, I mean, I've personally never seen one. I heard some rumors about some nasty business going on in the manor a little bit ways back, not too long ago. Our dear friend there, rumor is she was infected, but Sharmila, she's been here, a few years at least. Not exactly sure. But like I said, I've not seen one. I've never seen anything to let me know that Sharmila was infected, or under the curse, or whatever it is they're calling it.
Well, they said she did something really bad, like hurt people. Did you hear anything like that?
No. She was in town when the quarantine went into place. They were going around asking questions of everyone, and bringing some people in, interrogating them one-on-one. They came in here, asked questions of me and of Eileen, and, asking about the goings-on, the day-to-day life. Nothing about, too many people in particular. They asked just as many questions about the butcher and the smith and the cleric in town as they did about Sharmila, so I don't know exactly what grounds or what they had to go on to interrogate her or to imprison her.
So they came around asking you questions about her and these other people, but not... Did they ask you questions about yourself?
Well, I mean, they asked where, day-to-day questions. Do you ever leave the harbor? How often do you, venture off the island? Have you ever been into the manor? What do you do? What's your daily routine? Don't know why they need to know all that. Have I ever ventured, or how often I venture outside of town, up into the forest, things like that. Ask questions if I have any connections with the druids in town.
I know a druid.
I know several.
Are they nice?
Yeah, very nice. But then again, most people in town are nice.
Besides you and Eileen, everyone's been kind of grumpy.
Well, everyone that's usually from town is fairly nice.
Oh, okay. I wonder why they were trying to hurt her if she's been in town this whole time.
I couldn't tell you, love. They say that she was infected, and according to whatever laws they govern themselves by, that means that she's a danger to others and that she has to be killed.
But it seems like the only things that you've heard about are at the manor. I thought manors were when you were, like, nice to people.
Well, there are also houses
Oh.
that are nice to people.
Oh. Okay. Well, I guess I'll just wait for my friends.
Alright,
Hang out with you.
sounds good. You're not gonna hear me complaining. I wish we had a spot of music, though.
Well, she pulls out her crumb horn out of her quiver, because my cool quiver, just like, and I start playing my crumb horn.
Okay,
I guess that's
give me a performance check.
Oh no!
Too much honey in my mouth. I'm all sticky. Oh, gross! So gross! I'm sorry, but just honey.
You see him kind of cringe up a little bit, and he's like, "That's quite an acquired taste there, huh? Is that's an interesting instrument." He kind of like asks if he can hold it. Like, can I see it?
Yeah.
He kind of looks it over. He says, "Oh, it's beautifully made. Where did you get it?" And he begins kind of like holding on to it, but asking you questions about it.
I guess my dad would have given it to me. I don't know. I've just always had it.
You are an interesting person.
Thank you. I can float too.
Can you do it twice in one day, though?
I have to take a little nap first. It's
Okay.
very tiring.
Just checking.
I could do a.
You can float, huh?
Yeah. You wanna also. You wanna do a little friendly bet? You don't have to bet anything. It'll just be for fun.
Okay, what's that?
Who can hold their breath the longest?
Give me a sec here.
He's
I
like, do
remember
I know
this
anything about Genasi?
Do I know anything about Genasi? It seems a bit of an unfair bet to make with an air Genasi, my dear.
Why?
Well, I mean, this is a harbor town. We do get the occasional visitor, and I hear tell that you can hold your breath for quite a while.
Who'd you hear that from?
I'm not going to just from everyone.
Like who? What's their name?
Well, there's a water Genasi captain that comes into town every now and then.
Oh, darn him! I know him. He's nice. I got him while he was a little drunk, so I tricked him.
Well, that's probably where he heard it from.
Oh, dang it. I was hoping maybe there was a different Air Genasi that was doing this, and it's not me. I'm not the one that does that, so we can do a breath holding on this. But since I already gave myself away, I guess I'll just...
All right. Who's next? Corin and Kaylee are sitting around waiting. Alaric and Nessa are
Making our way over.
towards Corin and Kaylee.
I'm making my way downtown.
Okay.
Walking fast, face fast.
And they're...
We're banner bound.
Yeah.
Kaylee, about this time, you're feeling like your time limit's probably running out on your invisibility. Alaric and Nessa, you kind of make your way up past the manor, kind of keeping an eye out for Corin and Kaylee. Spot Corin on the backside of the temple, and as you approach, Kaylee, your spell would have been dropping about then.
Just that slightly opaque ghost.
Yeah. That like really bad like special effect from like a 90s sci-fi
Yes.
as you like fade in.
Yes.
Okay. So you guys approach, you see them there. Your guys' perception check. Corin, as you're kind of standing there, keeping an eye out, you see the front of the manor open. It's a little difficult to see. There's a lot of kind of like extravagant looking bushes and stuff that line the path that go up to the doorway. But you know, you're kind of intently watching. You're but trying to look like you're not watching. You see it kind of open slightly, and elf, kind of thinly built looking elf male, in like courtly attire. He looks like maybe like a steward of the house or something. Comes down towards the front gates, leans up against it, and one of the guards, this is the first time you've actually seen one of the guards move, turns and listens, just cocks his head back, then leans over, says something really quickly. The steward nods and then kind of runs back into the house.
I would have, as I saw him exit, I would have tried to get Kaylee's attention surreptitiously, have been like, a thing's happening.
Okay.
Is this while I still had invisibility up?
It would have been like right at the last minute or so that it's fading. You're feeling like at about this time, your time limit's kind of running out.
Yeah. Okay, I won't do anything.
Neither of us have the lip reading feat.
I was gonna run over and try to listen, but I don't want to.
You can run over and try and listen, but you don't have like an actual like steadfast timer on this. You cast it; it runs for an hour.
Can I try to stealth and go over and listen?
Yeah.
Kaylee, please.
You get advantage on the stealth roll because you're invisible.
Yes.
2 ones.
Okay.
It's so mediocre.
15. And roll a D100 for me.
Oh my god.
Corn vibes.
Sorry guys, I just like ended this all for us.
Okay. So as you make your way over, let me see here. Where's the thing at? Okay. So you make your way over. You feel fairly confident that you're unseen and unheard. Then the 2 elvish knights that are standing at either side don't make any motions towards you or anything like that. You come up along the side of them at about the time, within 10 or 15 seconds or so. After the door opens, you get over there. Lore, as you kind of lean in close, as close as you feel comfortable at the very least, you hear the steward kind of lean up against the gate and quietly say, Lord Talver wishes to speak with Sir Gregor. Have you heard any word from him? Has he come back from the town square yet? And the guard kind of leans back, in Elvish, of course, and you speak Elvish, so it's fine. They're both speaking in Elvish, and the guard leans back and says, there's some commotion over there. One of the guards came by and reported in that they had it under control, and we haven't seen him since. And the steward nods and kind of just like briskly walks back into the house.
I would like to run away as quietly as possible. I'll go around the temple. I will go around, like, I don't want to run in front of them at all.
Okay, so as you're running away, so you walked over, probably took you about like 15 or so seconds, listen to the conversation for another 15 or so seconds. About 20 or so seconds later, your invisibility drops.
Cool. I'll make my way like around the temple, back and over to the other side of Corin, trying to be inconspicuous, although not overly sneaky.
Okay.
And I tell Corin,
and
Talvor's looking for Gregor.
Alaric and Nessa, you guys are there as well.
I was just finishing up a very witty joke. No, I'm just kidding. No, I wasn't.
And then I was like, hey! And he was like, no!
Nope.
I guess you had to be there, I suppose.
Or not.
But you were there, Alaric.
No.
In the words of Bartleby, I prefer not to. So I just found out that Talvor is looking for Gregor right now.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, he was presumably made aware of the plans, or at the very least that this public execution was happening. I imagine you guys are walking up, and once you get within a reasonable talking distance, we start this conversation.
I mean, it makes sense for him to find out, but it's also been almost exactly 1 hour since all of this started. I don't know why it would take this long for word to reach Talvor.
Unless something's happened inside the manor that Talbot thinks needs Gregor's attention. Like what we heard in the courtyard about how this all technically began in the manor.
Could also just be a status update. I mean, Gregor could be in pursuit of the woman. I'm not sure if Corin's actually heard her name yet at this point.
I don't think any of us have, but Skyla...
Isn't here yet.
You and I have. Nessa.
We have?
Yeah.
Cool,
Wait,
I was there.
And
Oh, yeah,
was
that's
Kaylee there for that?
Kaylee heard it
Okay,
too.
so then I would have heard the name.
Yeah.
Except by the time it gets to you, Corin, it's actually like a completely different name.
It's Shazam.
So many rounds of telephone.
Her name is Shazam.
It's Shaniqua.
Well, here's my thinking. I do have one more. Oh, I can't. Never mind.
So
I can't do that. Never mind.
Where is Skylar?
She said
went
she
to the
was
bar.
Look at
coming
the
to
sky.
the manor. Oh, you know where she is?
She said she was going to the bar after the courtyard
All right.
thing.
I'm sorry. Who's carrying the bag of the monies?
Chink.
Might I get 1,000 silver?
Chink. Help yourself.
One.
Right. I'm just saying, like, I could do
I
this probably.
He just like
but
grabbed
cheaper.
several handfuls.
I mean, I'm just gonna get some things silver. Nessa, I appreciate it, but I mean, unless he lets you use your forge, I'm not sure if that's.
I don't, what even is included with Smith's tools, Robert? Like, what can I do?
Calipers?
So you have the tools to perform smith work, but you
not
still
the
need a
intense
forge.
temperature.
It's like you pull out a forge.
I mean, you could use them for various other situations. Like I don't want to like throw things out there, but if you like needed to break into a lock or something like that, you could probably use your smith tools because they're hardened tools specifically meant to work metal. Like there are other things you could use them for, but in order to actually smith stuff, you need the proficiency with the tools, and you need the tools on you, but you also need a forge.
That makes sense.
So you can't just like go to the middle of the town square and just like put
Make a
silver
campfire
on it.
that's somehow hot enough to melt silver.
Yeah.
You're probably right. That would be a bit indecent. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to real quickly requisition this order, and I'll go back to the tavern and check on Skylar, and I presume I'll meet you, the rest of you there later on at some point.
Yep, well,
No.
based on the rumors we've heard of what's happening in the manor, unless we want to try and do something about Gregor being searched for, I think our best bet is to go to the monastery first and see if they have any information that can inform our decision, because that is what we are here for, first and foremost, as members of the Maelstrom Patrol.
Yes,
But-
that's true.
Well, I will say this. Not to continually send us all running off in different directions, but I feel like if Tava is searching for Gregor, and he hasn't spoken to him since what occurred in the past hour, this may be our best opportunity to speak with Tava before Gregor sours his opinion of us.
That is true.
So I would not wait. I would send... Someone should go in. We don't all have to, but if you feel like we should, then we can do that.
I feel like specifically we shouldn't.
Oh.
Like, we shouldn't go in and speak with him, or we shouldn't all go in.
We shouldn't all go in.
Yes, I agree with you there. I say, Kaylee, I don't know if you're comfortable doing this, but I think that you are the most
Of
qualified.
course I'm comfortable doing this.
All
This
right.
is how I've made my living my entire life. I'll be fine.
All right,
So you
then.
back at the monastery.
Few performance rolls, everything will be good.
It'll be great.
Sure. I'm just going to go. Yeah, I'll meet you. Are you two going to the monastery, Corin and Nessa?
Someone
think
has to
that-
catch Skylar.
Someone needs to check on Skylar.
Alaric said that he was doing that.
Yes, I can do that. I can go to the blacksmith, then go back to the tavern, pick up Skylar, and meet you at the monastery.
I
Sounds
believe
good.
that should be our course of action.
All right, done.
All right. So, Alaric, you take some silver. You take your weapon, the only weapon that's being silvered.
Is there? They don't happen to have broadswords, do they?
You didn't ask.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you want more silver, Alaric?
No, I don't need more silver. I can buy my own weapon with my own money. I don't need to use the coffers for that. But in the interest of fast tracking, if they don't have a broadsword, then I'm just going to silver my own longsword, and I want to buy a quiver of arrows and have those silvered.
All right.
And yeah.
Okay. So you make your way back over there. When you walk in, you kind of hear the banging in the back again as he's working in the forge.
Hey.
Oh.
Hey. Clang, clang.
Clang, clang. So as he comes out, he's, oh, that was quick. Did you need something else?
Yes, I was looking to see if I have some silver that I can offer in this exchange now.
Oh, yeah, certainly.
Do you happen to have any arrows here? A quiver of arrows?
Yeah, I've got a few lying around. We got a Fletcher in town that has more if you need them.
How many do you have?
I've got enough to fill a quiver.
Yeah, I'll just. Can I get a quiver silvered for now?
Okay.
And, you wouldn't happen to have any other type of swords available, would you? Like something less long and more broad?
You kind of said, weapons aren't typically my specialty, but I do have a few that I, dabble with just to keep my skills honed a bit. I've got a few short swords, stuff like that, a couple daggers, and I do have a few shields here. He shows you the gnomes seem to prefer these smaller ones. I do happen to have one sword that might fit the description.
Okay.
And he pulls out a sword. It's a one-handed sword. It's got a bit of a wider blade than the long sword that you're using. A little bit shorter of a blade as well. And it has kind of like a basket guard over the front of it, wrapping around the hand. It's a little bit of a different swing than the long sword there, but definitely suitable blade.
How much are you selling that for?
I'll probably let it go for 25 gold pieces.
All right, I'll take that sword and have it silvered, please.
All right. I'll go ahead and knock it down to 20 pieces if you're having some extra work done to it. Bundle it in there.
All right.
So 20 pieces. You're providing the silver. Let's call it an even 120 gold pieces with 50 of it being in silver.
All right. And does that include the arrows?
The arrows is going to cost a little bit more. I'll do the arrows for a straight 100 gold, 50 of it in silver.
All right. So is that 120 gold and then 1,000 silver, correct?
Yes.
All right. There you are.
All right.
Clang, 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 clang.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right. As you're counting that out.
How long will that take?
The sword, a day and a half, maybe. The arrows, a little bit more tedious. I'll probably have it by the end of the week.
So many.
Got to do them one at a time. It's just me around the shop, so.
If I could find you some help. To perhaps help you out and speed up the process for you, would there be any way that we could fast track this a little bit?
I mean,
if I knew someone who was good with smithing?
If you know someone capable enough, yeah, I could use a hand around the shop. I mean, take a little bit off the price at least, and if they have time, maybe they could earn a little bit of coin working here.
Well, for now, just do the sword, and well, hold on to the arrows. I'm see if I get my friend involved. If she's willing, then maybe I'll get the arrows, but I don't know that I have the time to wait. So, yes, so I'll order the sword now, and I will let you know if there's any further development. I'll let you know.
All right. I'll get to work on the sword.
Okay, and I run back to the tavern.
All right. So as you're doing all that, Corin and Kaylee and Nessa, what are you guys doing?
So we've been having this conversation about whether or not this is a smart idea, but Kaylee, this is your skill set. You are practiced with the nobles. I believe you are the one best suited to handle this. If you end up in prison, we'll probably hear about it.
She doesn't end up in prison.
We have plans for these sorts of contingencies, but Niesa and I will head to the monastery.
Before you go, Kaylee takes off her cloak and puts it. Well, I guess Niesa's taller.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Well, I give it. Hold on. I put it in Niesa's hands. Tell her to hold it up and say, "Changing room, please." And Kaylee starts changing out of her clothes into her costume, which I'm assuming is like what she uses as a storyteller. Like, so it's like fine elven bardic costume storytelling costume.
Please, in the middle of the street.
Yeah,
exactly. She gives you her cloak.
I'm just imagining like these kids walking behind her.
We're against the temple.
Remember, the streets are pretty empty.
We're against the temple. Her back is to the temple.
So basically, what you're doing
Not the front door of the temple.
What you're doing is
Didi, like,
flashing, yeah.
Her back is against a wall.
The holy ground of the elvish people behind you.
Hey,
there's like a deacon.
Kaylee worships Corellion Letharion, whatever that elven god's name is.
Yeah, that's who the temple is too.
Oh, great! She takes the dude.
Yeah, well,
Isn't it a lady?
She has no shame in her face.
The elven one is a man. Sorry.
Yeah.
The dwarven one is a lady.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's like against a wall. It's not like an open window or anything. Hopefully, it's just one side is covered. What were we saying? She's changing into her.
Yeah, you were just getting ready to go do it, and Nessa was like,
You don't have to look, dear. Yeah, if you don't, I mean, I might end up staying at the manor, and if I do, I'll send a word. If you don't hear from me by tonight, if there's not a word that's sent to the manor, then you know I am probably imprisoned.
Is the costume from your entertainer background, or is it
yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's very optimistic and all, but what do you want us to do if something awful happens?
Well,
as I said, we have contingencies planned.
Yes,
oh
I just want to figure it out. I'm a part of the right team.
Okay.
Yeah, so you will come to learn if you keep traveling with us. You will come to learn. We've gone through extensive training. We have plans for all sorts of odd situations that might come up.
So, you're no longer using your armor, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to be sure.
Walk in the door, steps.
Okay, so
we hate bards.
After Corin and Nessa, after you do the changing routine in the middle of the street, what are you two doing now?
I just want to make some parting comment about nobles are untrustworthy and please be safe. Sorry, I trust you, bye. And then we're gonna go to the monastery.
Good thing Alaric isn't there.
Why?
He would be crushed because he's a noble.
You keep like making these like horrible like nobles are all a bunch of jerks, and Alaric's just like, yeah.
Sorry.
You're just
Sorry.
wrecking all your chances with him, girl.
Frankly, does Nessa even know that Alaric's nobility?
It probably came up at some point.
Did it though? Cause he
After the first time you said something.
after his like first stint in was it Stonefall? He's like, I'm Alaric Montefiore, and they were like, who? He hasn't really been like doing that as much.
Yep.
He's just
The
like,
first-
I'm Alaric.
The first run-in with the DM needle of deflation was Alaric going, I'm a nobleman, and the dwarven nobles who don't like humans and stuff like that went, who? This is for dwarf nobles, not for humans?
Oh!
Yeah.
Because in the world of Valendor, I don't know if we've ever actually said this, but humans are like the minority. So
Yeah, well, it's not necessarily the minority. They're just they're like a lower class, generally speaking. The
Like
main,
second class.
yeah, like they don't. Humans don't in the world of Valendor don't actually have lands of their own. Dragonborns, tieflings, elves, both wood elves and high elves, dwarves, both hill dwarves and mountain dwarves, gnomes and halflings, even full-blooded orcs in Valendor have homelands to call their own. Humans and half-orcs don't. The only people that are kind of treated worse than humans are half-orcs. At this point in the Valendor timeline, humans are becoming a little bit more well-respected, accepted, but for a long period of history, and even to this day, they were mostly used as like a laborer class. So if the dwarves had a big project that they wanted done, like, I don't know, a giant canal that carves out the middle of the continent, they had human workforce go in there and do it because it was too dangerous to kill themselves over. Alaric's family is rising up and above that, sometimes at the expense of others, possibly, but you know. Okay, so you two, Warren and Nessa, are
heading up to the monastery.
okay. Bypassing the tavern, you guys are literally walking right past the tavern at this point.
Oh.
So
Well, if
the
we hear
monastery-
the attempts at Crumhorn, we would probably stop in.
Wah, wah.
both of you give me a perception check.
I love my shield.
Very
That didn't do much.
Corin's like, girl, stop being agitated. I'm so agitated.
As you guys are passing, you kind of just hear like the normal hubbub of a tavern. It sounds like there's quite a few people in there, but nothing really catches your attention that would draw you in. As you guys are passing the tavern, and the entire time you've been in the town, except for some parts when you were like up against the temple, you've been able to see the monastery fairly well. It's kind of built into the side of the hill. It looks fairly large, not as large as Worldcrest, but fairly large. And Corin, looking at it with your kind of fine dwarven cunning, you can tell that this is probably the oldest structure in the entire town. This thing looks ancient. It looks like it was almost worked right out of the stone that the mountain is, or the hill is made out of. Kind of has these strange curving walls. It's not really familiar styling to you. It's definitely a lot older than most things, even older than a lot of dwarvish structures that you've seen. But for the most part, you can tell it's fairly sturdy, fairly old, and a little unusual is basically what you kind of get out of it. You guys kind of round the tavern and begin walking up the pathway, which is pretty wide at this point, probably fit at 1.5 to like 2 carts on it. It goes up to a wooden set of doors that are very tall. They're very, very rotund. Hey, yo. Anyways, I'm just going to say everything all at once. The doors are actually, they swing inward. They're both open at this point in time, and it kind of opens into a courtyard, and you see a couple people in familiar looking attire, especially for you, Nessa, kind of like monkish clothing, that are in the courtyard. Some of them are tending to a small garden. Others are sparring in the corner. but for the most part, they just seem to be kind of out and about doing their thing for the day.
All right. Is there anyone who is posed as like a greeter, or anyone who takes notice of us entering the courtyard?
You see a couple heads turn towards you, things of that nature, a couple friendly smiles, but everyone seems to be going about their own thing, doing whatever it is that they're doing.
Well, I would approach the nearest one who noticed our presence and reacted to it, and it's like, pardon us, we've just come from the World's Crest Monastery, and we have some news we need to share with your order. Can you take us to the... I presume I would know the actual title, but the headmaster, the head monk.
Yeah.
Okay. You kind of walk up. There's a human male. He's kind of out there, just tending to a couple plants and stuff that are growing up the side. It looks like some sort of like vine plant. And he looks at you and kind of nods. He goes, "Oh, yeah, welcome. You'll want to speak to Master Tannel. He's just inside the doors there in his study." And he kind of indicates an open set of doors that lead further into the monastery.
Thank you very much. You've been very helpful, and head on in through the door.
Okay. So as you guys are doing that, Nessa, is there anything in particular you want to do, or are you fine?
Oh, well, I was going to say, like, maybe I know exactly who to take to or exactly where, but nope, this is good. This is fine.
Do the monk salute.
Yeah, you know.
Okay. Okay,
Looks
so
kind of
while
like
you're
Boy
doing
Scouts.
that- yeah. So while Skyla and Evac are in the tavern alone, making enough noise to sound like there are several people in there. I'm sure. You guys are probably drunken, sugar high right now going on. Depending on how much ale and honey Skyla has gone through.
Enough.
Okay. Yeah, he's not force feeding it to you, so.
No, I'm just
but
willingly.
He's freely sharing. Yeah. So as you're doing that, is there anything that you want to do, want to talk about?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
I covered everything that Skyla would know.
So at about this time, a little bit time goes by. Corin and Nessa have headed up to the monastery. Skyla, you're just having a blast. You have a new best friend in all the world. You're working to get as rotundly as he is.
Actually, there's one thing I'm going to do. I'm going to quickly make him a bracelet.
Okay, so as you're sitting there, you're making him a bracelet. He loves it. He thinks it's amazing. He's talking to you about all the different kinds of honeys he's ever tried in the world. And you guys are just having a good time. At about that time, Alaric, you probably would show up.
This is darn carrot, and it comes from Stonefall. Have you been there before?
I'm just kind of come up behind Skyla and place a hand on the shoulder.
Oh my gosh! Why would you scare me?
Sorry, this armor is not quite as noisy as it once was. I didn't mean to sneak up on you.
Oh my goodness!
Is that a friend of yours, Skyla?
Yes, he's one of my friends, and he's in the patrol with me.
Oh, well, a friend of Skyla is a friend of mine. Pull up a chair. And he kind of indicates to the wall of chairs that are just like stacked there.
Look at all these cool chairs. And I'm gonna like run over. Look at this really small one. I can barely fit into it. Look, it almost gets stuck to me. And then like run over to the, look, I'm like a little tiny one. And then like run to another one. Like, look, I can't even fit in this one. It's so
That
small.
one's my favorite, right? Did I say that? That's my favorite one. It's short, but it's a little. And he looks at Alaric like it's a little wider. Can I get you a drink or something?
Alaric.
No, I'm afraid not.
You wanted some honey?
Alaric, you have to try the honey. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's better than the candy that Kaylee's been showing me. Oh my gosh. You have to try at least a spoonful. It's so good.
at this point takes a big scoop and is just like.
I take the spoon and just like pop it into Alex.
All right. Ow. Okay. You got my teeth.
It's so good.
Pull up a chair. We have plenty on the wall.
No, that's. Oh, you really cut my teeth.
Did I tip them?
You know, what's a really good cure for like bleeding in the mouth is honey is like a natural.
You want to try some, Alex? It's so good.
Here.
It's wonderful. No, that's all right. Thank you. Someone bless you. That's so kind.
But one sneeze.
Oh, because you're a paladin.
Yes, that's what we do.
Is that what they do? I thought. Okay, no one sneezed though. So.
Do you want a drink?
Pull
up a chair. There's plenty on the wall.
The need for drink is rising considerably, but I really must be moving along, and I'm afraid, Skylar, if you're not having too much fun here, we could really use you. We need to go to the monastery.
Oh, wow.
The monastery. I have to talk to Paul. Can I come?
Can he come? Can my new friend come with us?
Absolutely. Sure.
I like go to get off my stool. It's the very high stool again, and like kind of tumble off, like because I've had too many to drink.
Oh well, right behind you, Evac's like, and then he almost goes over backwards.
Rotundly.
He rotundly almost goes over backwards. They don't call it the double down. I don't call it the
I'm
double
gonna need
down.
some sleepy bread today at some point because
Sure,
I've had a lot of ale.
We'll be sure to order up a whole batch of sleepy bread.
Evac grabs his ale as you guys head out.
Mm-hmm.
Is he seriously coming with?
Yeah, why not?
Oh, just like he's leaving the tavern like unmanned. This is great.
His husband's there?
No, he went out. He went to go find Shamila.
Yeah, he left.
He went to get
I missed that bit.
So this is just delightful to me.
It's a small
I'm not
town.
there. I'm not
They
there.
leave their stuff unlocked all the time.
It's fine.
That's fine.
In a quarantine with weird things running around, yes.
And
Swerving around doesn't walk.
he's drunk. He doesn't care.
So is Skyla.
And they start singing.
Oh, good.
We're going to the monastery. Where's my drum horn? Hey, yo.
And we drink, and we drink, and we drink some more.
Wow.
Damn, boy!
You got that call.
He's like, I've survived worse things.
So as you guys are making your way up towards the monastery, Kaylee, what are you doing?
I am.
Sorry, before we get to that, did anyone want to take a break? It's after 9.
Yep.
So, you guys want
A
to take
break
a
would
little
be
break?
appreciated.
Alright, and then we'll come back right to Kaylee.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Going right back to initiative.
Yeah. So as a sign off to the break, I want to say thank you for everyone coming out. I know I haven't been as active in chat tonight because I'm like a little out of it. I don't know if you can tell from my commentary, but yeah, I just want to say I really appreciate you guys for coming out. We'll take a 5-minute break. If you guys have any questions about the campaign, the characters, the players, or any of our other stuff that we do on You Pick Gaming, feel free to ask them in chat, and we'll take a couple seconds to answer them when we get back from the break. Other than that, I love and appreciate all of you. So thank you.
Be right back. All right. Is our audio playing for everybody?
Hello.
Hello.
He doesn't have his headphones on.
What was that?
Oh, just is our audio still live?
Yeah, it should be. I didn't bother to adjust it.
Okay, cool. Just making sure.
Boys are back in town.
Boys are back in town.
Those are a lot of good con saves in a row.
Yep. Were those to see how long until you snapped, or?
Yeah, pretty much.
So they can hear us, right?
Yep.
Okay. If anyone in chat had any questions, feel free to type them in, and we will answer them as best we can. Feel free to ask about, the world, any of the lore, anything like that. Valendor's pretty fleshed out. We spent a lot of time on Valendor as a group.
Whoops.
I'm pretty proud of it, specifically. Like, I have a lot of fun running Valendor. Whenever we get into it, I always feel like we're making the world come alive a little bit more. But if you also have any questions about the characters, their backstory, who they are, where they're from, let us know. And we'll be happy to answer them. We're still waiting on some members to come back.
Like in chat, I see some talk about Hill Dwarf Druid being odd, but I mean, in the PHP, it says for the quick build, Wisdom should be highest, followed by Constitution, and the best combo for that is a Hill Dwarf Druid, so I'm a little surprised you haven't seen it more often, because straight numbers, that's one of the best combinations for a Druid.
Yep. So Saber is asking, so you made the world as a group. So, Valendor was the first campaign that UPick Gaming actually started playing together as a group. And when I GM a homebrew campaign like Valendor, where it's going to be really long running, what I do is I have a session 0, and I get everyone together, and I come to the players with kind of like a general idea of what I think I kind of want. And then I also, in this case, I had a blank world map. It wasn't this world map. It was basically a sketch, a blank kind of like blueprint. And I asked everyone what they thought of the idea of how the world works. And in Valendor, it's basically that there is these random portals that open up to different planes. They open up all over the world, and there is basically a group called the Maelstrom Temple that is in charge of like getting those portals and keeping track of them and containing them. They have a group, like a small guild of teams called the Maelstrom Patrol, and I brought this idea to the players. They seemed on board with it. I asked them if they wanted to play something else or if this was the type of game they were interested in. Once they were on board with that, I kind of had a few key things, like the Maelstrom Temple was in place on the map. I had a couple other places that were kind of like, I think maybe named. And then I basically said, okay, who are your characters? Who are the people that you're playing as? And they started telling me, well, I'm a hill dwarf, and I'm a human, and I'm a genasi, and I'm a half-elf. And I said, okay, so if you're a hill dwarf, tell me about the hill dwarfs. Where are you from? What is your story, and how do they work? When we first started, we had someone that was playing a mountain dwarf with us, and I asked him, how does your society function, and where are they from? And he picked a place on the map, filled it out with a couple towns and cities and stuff like that, and kind of gave us a brief history of how the people work. In Alaric's case, he had a lot to say in how the humans are kind of perceived in this world, and how his family, being one of the only noble lines, how they're kind of rising up above all that prejudice and stuff like that. Kaylee, I think, had a huge hand in filling out the Elvish side of the map and a lot of the major cities and small towns there. Skyla's entire town and everything was written by her. So they brought all these ideas, and we filled out the world and made them all work together. And then once the game got going, I said, okay. And occasionally I'll ask them, "Oh, how does this work? Where was that from? What city was that?" Because they helped build it. But a lot of times it's okay. Now the world's in place and running, so I control it. I say what goes on in it and things like that. But they helped create it, and I think it's a really great way to draw people into the story, because it's a story that they're help building, a world that they're help building. So there's still a lot of discovery, but there's also familiarity when they run into things that come from their background and their words.
And I think with one thing, like with the humans specifically, I thought it was kind of interesting because I just wanted to play a straight up human noble, and like and I didn't know that in your world yet, like you had already kind of envisioned them being second class citizens. So like the whole flavor of it also being like a kind of a race on the rise, and that whole canal thing kind of grew out of trying to make my concept of what I wanted to play fit with the world that you kind of had, which I thought was, I think like the tension between those two different kind of starting places kind of made something more special than either.
Yeah, and that's to me like a really big thing, because like, one, I'm the type of person that will always say I'm not the person in the room that knows everything. Like, anyone out there can throw out an idea that's 10 times better than mine. And I don't have the personality that's like, no, my way is the best way, we're just going to do it this way. Couple that with, I'm kind of lazy at times. So if the players can write a lot of the story, hey, that's great. That's just less work for me. But it really is nice, because you gotta think of it like this: is that you got a lot of brain power at the table when you have a group with 6 or 7 people there, and if you don't draw on that, if you don't draw on that creativity, I think you're missing out on a lot. I rely on the players in the group, not just for world building and stuff like that. When we're in the middle of a fight or something like that, I know there are plenty of people in this group that can find something in the player's handbook just as fast as I can. So if I'm trying to do something, I might ask one of them, how does that work? They'll go and look it up, and we're all good to go. So I think it's really, really important for GMs to work with their players, and I don't think that everything has to be behind the screen. I don't think anyone in this group will say that they feel that they know too much of what's going on in the story. I think probably exactly the opposite. With as much as most of the people in the group know, they feel probably frustrated with me at times because I keep dangling stuff in front of them.
Yep, especially when you send out requests on Twitter for names of dragons and that sort of thing. And it's like, what are you doing there?
So let's see. I wish I could trust my players to be able to do that. My players have a hard time making a basic background, but most are new to D&D. See, that's a funny thing, though. Everyone in this group, when we started Valendor, save for 2 of us and maybe a game here or there, we started with a completely brand new group of players, practically. I mean, we didn't have a lot of D&D experience. I think the biggest thing is just being willing to get in, like elbow deep in the story, elbow deep into it, throw yourself into it. But once you're in there, you also have to be willing to be flexible. There's a lot of times where I will completely throw something out or change something that I had planned to make it fit with the players more. And then there are a lot of times, like Alaric was saying, we ran into a situation in one of our very first games where he was playing a human noble, and knowing that the humans were kind of lower class, but his person was a noble, he ran into a situation where it was kind of made apparent to him that nobility of a human doesn't go very far in certain places. And I think that at that point in time, he was really flexible, and instead of some players would get upset because it didn't go the way they wanted it, instead he said, oh, okay, how can I look at this, adapt, and overcome? And I think he has. And I think his character development has been amazing. It's been one of the most not entertaining, but like
No, it's definitely not entertaining.
Entertaining, but also just like engaging to watch for me.
It's changed a lot. I think a lot of us have changed a lot.
Yeah.
But because I'm so out of Alec and his headspace, like a lot has happened.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's Nessa's mom.
You gotta go back to that D&D game.
Is how I imagine their conversations go. Yeah, that's what I imagine happens every time.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well,
yeah, Mom. Yeah, Mom, I'm just about to go down. We're about to go to the monastery now. Oh, that's real sweet, sweetheart.
Anyway,
She
go ahead.
probably
Remember
went
they
up there
were-
to say goodnight like she usually does, and then like what happens oftentimes is she gets sucked in.
Yeah.
And she's like, Mom, I have to go, and they're like, no.
You could probably drop the splash screen now if you wanted to.
Yeah. Also, with those impressions, remember, she was trying to teach her mom the Australian accent the other day, so needs more Australian.
Oh, shrimp on the barbie.
I'm so glad that's what
I don't
Lindsay's
even
mom
know
sounds
where
like.
you're getting that from. It's amazing.
Is that your Australian, Alec?
That's his.
That's my Nessa's mom trying Australian.
Oh,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah.
Shrimp on the Barbie.
Bye-bye.
When Lindsay got locked outside and she like was Snapchatting to
Snapchatting.
death, and she had texted her mom, or her parents, and she put it all on Facebook, including the like screenshots. Oh no, it was just a Snapchat video, but her mom commented on it on Facebook.
Yeah.
And was like, maybe you shouldn't, or maybe you should go out with your keys next time. And she was like, Mom, maybe next time you should just look outside and see your child laying in the middle of the backyard. And I was like, oh my
Reading a
God.
book like she often
Wait,
does.
They
her
were both
mom?
being so passive aggressive. I was just like,
Wait, her mom was in the house?
No,
Yeah.
no,
No.
they were all in the house, and Lindsay went outside to read a book, and then her parents left.
Hi, we're talking about.
Is that how you nearly died?
But I just loved like that the two of them were like, well, on Facebook. It was just so
Read it,
funny.
but
Where did I get it? I wonder.
Steph was reading it to me, and I was just like, they're the same person.
We are.
Like you could hear in the conversation that they are the exact same person. It's just like arguing with yourself.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Except for she's wrong and I'm right.
And I'm sure she says the same thing.
Yeah, she does. But I'm like, why would I go into the backyard with my keys? It's my backyard. And I left the door open.
I never checked the mail without my keys.
Well, I mean,
That's
My-
because last time he took the trash out, he locked himself out. So
In my like 20 plus years of living on my own, at least over a decade of living on my own, I've never locked myself out of my own house. And then one day I just like out of like bad habit of leaving for work and locking the bottom lock, I went to take the trash out and did it. It was like 2 weeks ago, and I ended up like having to break in like through the backyard. The back door was open so King could get out. He because the side gate we almost never use it. I opened it and it's like because it's like sagging and dragging and it's never been opened since I've lived here. He heard this, came around, saw someone trying to move the back gate, and ran full tilt into it so hard it like put splinters into my hand and knocked me back. And he was just like, "Oh, can't come in my
that's
house."
the dog
I was
though.
like, King, way to go! I like gave him treats. I made a mistake. I was so happy.
Good boy. Oh my gosh.
it was awesome. I was at work, so I missed it.
But yeah. So any more questions? Let's see.
What did I miss, as usual?
It is not the greatest system to encourage role playing and instead focus too strongly on combat. The lack of variety of skills and maneuver checks make you focus on combat relevant stats and skills. There's not even a non-spell based healing in the game except the healer feature.
I feel like the lack
I
of skills makes it
disagree.
more.
Yeah.
I would disagree. There's also resting, which
Well, I mean, like non-spell based healing. There's potions. Like Skyla learned how to make healing potions at this point. So as long as she goes out and uses like survival or nature, she can then brew a healing potion for non-spell healing. And then she also has this cool new thing that Mental kind of thought up that's like a wand that basically takes Skyla's hit dies and gives them to someone else for non-spell healing. So yeah, like Ryan or Alec was starting to say, I think the lack of variety of skills makes you roleplay more.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on the group. I mean, I could see maybe there's someone who they just see those options and they assume that that's all. But I feel like all of 5e is meant to just be a springboard into something else.
Yeah. And with the medicine checks, you can do that in 5e to 10 wounds. You're not going to heal much, but you can stabilize someone so that they're no longer dying and, go from making death saves to being stable and being okay. And so, I mean, it's not like, oh, boom, I bandaged you up and now you're back up. But, it's enough that, I made sure you're not bleeding anymore and you're stable.
And to be fair, systems like 4E and even, 3.5 and Pathfinder and stuff, I understand that they get to be very, very number heavy. And it can, from what I've heard from a lot of other people, it can detract from the role play aspect of the game. But I think that lumping 5e in with older systems is really doing 5e a lot of injustice, because 5e is designed specifically to be simpler and to give the user, the players, and the GMs a lot more power and control. There's so many things in 5e that just say, or as the DM sees fit, or whatever works for your game. The designers of the game specifically say that it's whatever you want to do. That is what the whole point of D&D is. And if you limit yourself and think of everything in terms of the combat system of D&D, then I think that you're not really, stretching it. I would say that, the combat for me in D&D is fun. It's great. I love designing combats. I love running them. I love playing in them. But I also get really, really into RP, and the RP is what you make it, I think. And it's not really, system to system. One system isn't going to make you roleplay better.
Yeah. And I think it depends on the people you're playing with, and there's a lot of factors. If you go to the first Valendor session that we have up on YouTube, we don't RP as much as we do now. It's more like Skyla walks to the bar and sits down and drinks a beer, and now it's like, well, I'm gonna go and do this. As you go, you kind of evolve, and as your character evolves, you as a player get better because you know your character more. So it's easy. It becomes easier to role play, and I think as long as you have a group where everyone is really down to role play, it's easier to do so. Whereas if you're the only one really getting into it and everyone else is just bare bones, it makes it not as fun. So Psionic Ranger was saying, it's definitely dependent on the players. No matter the system, you could play Cypher, you could play Call of Cthulhu, you could play anything, and if you're not gonna just immerse yourself, it's not gonna be that amazing. It's not gonna be that fun.
Yeah, and then where you said, I don't even have free choice in skills depending on class. See, now, to me, that doesn't say that that doesn't say that D&D is really limiting. That's just the way that the system is built. But that's not limiting your role play. To me, that is, the class and the mechanics might not be what you exactly want. If you want to just go through and pick and choose everything, that's fine. That's it, I understand, but we go to different systems for different things. The mechanics of 5e are pretty open, and the homebrew community is amazing in 5e. But to lump in, to say that D&D doesn't allow for good roleplay because it doesn't, the mechanics don't let you pick and choose the feats to build the perfect thing that you want, I think is kind of doing a little injustice. And
that kind of goes up to the cusp of metagaming. Or min-maxing, where you're building something specifically to be the most powerful person in the game. And that's not that fun. Skyla's fun to play because she has an 8 in intelligence. She is dumb as dirt. But because of that, she is constantly learning and growing, which makes it really fun.
Yeah, but some people do find the fun in the min-maxing.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it exactly min-max or medic. Like, I understand if someone appreciates a system for the different way that it handles skills. I mean, I've played just recently. We played the Cypher system. That was really fun. I enjoyed it a lot. It was it was different. It was different than D&D, and I can see how there's a lot to offer there. But I like D&D because of the classy feel of it. I like that there are classes that restrict people to doing specific things. That you can't have, you can't have healing if you're a fighter. And you can't just go and take a skill down the line that's going to make you a fighter or that's going to make you a healer unless you multiclass. I like that because it allows you to work within a system. There's a lot of people that say that dice. What do they call it? Roll versus roll. You're either rolling dice or you're doing a role play. And I think that you have to do both hand in hand. That's my personal opinion. You have to let the mechanics of the system work with your story. Otherwise, why play with a system at all? Why not just sit around with friends and tell a story?
I mean, and I don't know what this says about us, but I mean, we've been playing for about 3 hours now. We've made about 7, 8 rolls. I mean,
Yeah.
Versus last session in the same town, where we made 1 million rolls because we were having combat.
yeah.
You gotta break it up.
It's just however your group chooses to play it. I haven't played any other D&D versions other than 5e, so like I just know this experience, and it seems like it can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, and that's my big thing is play what you want, play what is fun for you. But like I said, I think that saying that the RP is limited, tying it to a system seems a bit of a stretch. That's just my personal opinion.
Cool.
But no, thanks for prompting. We love conversation like that. That's great. No one's gonna agree all the time. That's for sure.
Let's get back to the game.
That's the game. Everyone's
B to the G. Hey.
So
That's gonna live forever.
15 minutes. Or we could just wrap it up here.
Well, before we forget, Kaylee, what did you want to do? Or
Yeah,
Head off.
I want to see this.
She's gonna go into she's gonna try to go into the manor.
Okay, so how are you doing this? How are you going about this?
She's gonna try to walk right to the front door. She knows she has to get past these guards, though.
All right, so you walk up. The gate is firmly locked and sealed. Guards are on either side of it. As you walk up to the guards, they don't move, they don't say anything until you get fairly close, and then both of their pole arms just right in front of you across the gate.
Hello, gentlemen. Are they two guys?
Yeah, both of them are male.
Okay.
Male elf.
Hello, gentlemen. My name is Kaylee Leoden. I'm here to see the Lord of this wonderful town.
We're on strict orders not to let anyone see Lord Talver at any point in time.
Well, that is unfortunate. I have some news about his Silver Guard Captain Gregor, but I suppose he might not want to know that.
No, that's fine. He might want to know that. Why don't you go ahead and relay the message to me, and I'll make sure that he gets it.
I'm so sorry, gentlemen, but I'm sure you understand that bards make their living off of information.
All right, well, leave your name, and we'll see about whatever payment might be due to you.
Were we? I could do that, but I don't think that I will. I know my crew and I'm part of the Maelstrom Patrol. I flashed the little brooch. My crew and I are here under quarantine now, and we were told to speak to the Lord, but if he's unavailable to take us, I understand. Maybe his court just doesn't want to receive the stories and lore of the Heartland, and that's okay.
Does the patrol have in Greenhill?
Maelstrom Patrol business, of course. Portals and such.
In Greenhill? We've not heard of any portals.
Well, I can't verify that they aren't here. I mean, how do you think that the were creatures have made their way here? But we're actually closing up some business from our previous portal in Green Hill.
So you're not actually here to take care of a portal in Green Hill?
Oh, no, that's correct. We don't know that there's a portal here yet.
Right. Okay, so if I'm understanding this correctly, you're here on Maelstrom Patrol business, but there's no portals in the area.
You're not wrong.
Right. And what information on Gregor did you have?
Oh, you heard that commotion, didn't you, at the old market square?
That commotion.
That commotion? That particular commotion?
All right.
Girl.
Ooh, that was the knee, wasn't it?
I know that feel. I know that's the word.
Sex save fail.
Yes, we're aware.
Oh, well, then excellent. Maybe you don't need my information after all. I hope that your lord finds good favor and that he... and that he, is pleased without the, grandeur comfort of a well-traveled bard in his courts, because I'm sure they don't make their way here very often since the quarantine, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, seeing as my lord has specifically asked for no one to bother him, I don't think you'll be missed.
Of course, I understand. If you do hear from him again, tell him that Kayla the Odin, the senior Talvor, knows my name. I know that he's fast, but maybe his son has heard my name. Kayla Odin sends her wishes, and start to walk off.
Okay.
And I'll make my way to the monastery.
Ouch. Okay, so you make your way up to the monastery. At this point in time, you'll probably run into Alaric, Skyla, and Evac as they're leaving the tavern. It didn't take you long to talk to the guards and stuff like that, so...
We're going to the monastery.
I really wish I still had a second level spell right now.
And then Corin and Nessa, you guys are actually inside the monastery talking to, or walking into the doors that were indicated to you, essentially.
So,
Yep.
They indicated where we go. Is it fairly obvious where Master Panel is?
Yeah, so you go in, there's, kind of a simple looking entrance, not too lavishly decorated or anything like that. And there's a simple kind of like study office off to the side that you make your way into. And there's not as old as Dahichi, but elderly looking human that's there and leaned over an older looking book, kind of just reading and studying at the time.
I'm
Knock on the
happy to
door.
let Corin talk.
Okay. He looks up.
Pardon us. We've come from the World's Crest Monastery, and we have some rather dire news from there. Everything is fine now. Well, sort of. They were under siege for several months. We, as part of the Maelstrom Patrol, well, she isn't a member yet. We went and we dealt with it. We closed the portal, fixed things as they were, but they did suffer casualties. The armory was breached, is the important bit, and they need some more manpower. Now, we know there's the quarantine here, but we put ourselves under quarantine to get this information to you, and we're here to help in whatever way we can to finish up this business.
As you say that, he kind of watching you the whole time, slowly kind of closes the book that he's been looking at and thinking on. He goes, "You know how to make an entrance."
Very tactful.
We travel with a bard. I may be picking up some tricks.
So,
By the way, I'm Cornstonewood. This is Niesa. Do you
Tolba.
have Tolba?
Tolbert.
I'm Master Tannel. And so you say that Dahichi is he okay?
Yes, Dahichi is fine. He seemed very wary, even given his age. But
He bounced back, of course.
yeah,
You know.
but
And the armory's been breached? Was anything taken?
we don't know
We
if
don't-
anything was taken. There was a white dragon attempting to break into the armory, and it appeared to be cracked, I believe. But we were able to put a cursed weapon in the armory, so there
And
is
it did
that.
seem to mend afterward.
Yeah, at this point, it's more. I forget. Yes, did you ever tell us about your whole find these magic things that
Heck
the
no, I didn't.
armory? Yeah,
Nope.
Judson. So I'm just. I don't bring that up, but it's just like, yeah, the armory appeared to be cracked. It seems to be mended, but Dahichi was still very insistent we come here, bring word, and request assistance.
So, like, when he asked, like, if anything was taken, like, I assume I'm standing kind of behind Corn, because I'm like, you're wiser than me, you do this. And so, like, when he asked that, I, like, made eye contact with him, like, over Corn's shoulder, maybe, I don't know.
So you're trying to indicate that something was taken?
Well, just like, no. But maybe. I need to talk to you.
But you do
So,
know
like,
that not even Dahichi knew very
Yeah.
much about that.
Yeah, I know. I only know what I know. Which is like, I don't know, man. Could be yes, could be no. Who knows? I don't know.
Alright, I wasn't sure if you were trying to talk to him about it because I'm just giving you a heads up. From what Dahichi said,
Yeah.
no one else, including other members of the Order,
Oh.
would know about it.
JK. Then
It's
I.
very, very old. It's like something only Dahichi knows about. That was like his sacred,
Cool.
like, you know, burden to bear.
I'm gonna
Now
assume that
it's
I totally
yours.
got that vibe and didn't
Yeah.
make. Okay, thanks, pal.
Probably not something you're gonna go around like, hey, have you seen
Well, yeah, but I'm like, this guy's a monk of the same. Never mind. It's fine.
so
This is a banner night for me, guys.
what is do they need anything? Have they
I believe he requested additional manpower because, as I said, they were under siege. They did suffer casualties, and he's worried that the armory is too undefended right now in case of perhaps another incursion. But
well
he mostly wanted to get the word out because we were the fastest way to get the news out. We were the ones there to fix the problem. We were the first ones to leave the world's crest after the resolution.
if only there was some sort of like written note.
Do I still have that, or do I give it to Corin? Look, here, have a note.
You have it.
Yep.
I know it's probably pretty late, so I'm sure people are forgetting things.
Do I? Like, it's not in my inventory, so I don't know. Here you go.
You had it last.
I thought I did. Here you go.
I imagine you would. That was like the whole reason for breaking the quarantine and coming in.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I definitely. Yep. Here you go.
So he'll take the missive from Dahichi. He breaks the seal on it. He begins kind of poring over it. He looks like burdened with a terrible weight. He kind of, his face kind of sinks. He thank you for bringing the information to us. Unfortunately, right now all we can do is make preparations to go and help. But until the quarantine's lifted, we can't actually leave. But thank you for taking it upon yourselves to make your way here and go out of your way to continue to help us.
Of course, it's the least we could do.
If you need room and board, some food, we have a lot more monastery than we do monks at the moment. So feel free to stay here with us, and
Thank you.
you and your entire team are welcome.
We may very well take
very
you up
kind.
on that. We're still a bit scattered ourselves. I don't know if you were aware of the public execution that was going to take place in the courtyard, but we may have we stepped in. We are unclear yet of what the repercussions of that were, but we are very unclear on what's going on in this town, other than there is the quarantine.
Yeah.
It seems that you have some very headstrong people making very rash decisions.
That we do.
We were aware of the situation, and we've tried to remain out of it as much as we can.
And we don't mean to bring you in, but to get any more perspective would be a boon. Sir Gregor only had scorn for our interference and was not very forthcoming with any actual information or reasoning in defense of his plan.
Even before.
We are well aware of Sir Gregor and his techniques of discussion and interrogation. Let me get with my people. It's still afternoon. There's still a bit of daylight left. Let us discuss this. If you need anything else, please feel free to ask. Tomorrow morning we can probably sit down and discuss more if you're looking for more information.
That would be beneficial. Yep. Thank you. So then I guess I would bow, thank him, and then proceed to Yessa, I believe I'm going to do research in this journal, and I sort of indicate the Archdruid's journal I have and do any research I can on lycanthropy and see if I can find out anything about what's happening in this town. But
Okay.
I'll just find a nice tree to read under or something, and I guess it appears we've concluded most of this conversation before Alaric was able to procure Skyla, but we,
they would be making their way loudly.
We're going to the monastery.
Oh, that would be them now, I imagine. And
Kaylee, as you join up with them, Evac, after a couple moments before he realized that you're there, would kind of like triple take on you, and then just stop for a second and go, "Are you a bard?"
I give a little roll on the drum. Brrr. That is right, my friend.
I happen to have the best tavern in town.
Is that so?
It's the only tavern in town.
It's really cool and really fun and really awesome. There's so many chairs, Kaylee.
Well, with that kind of recommendation,
We have all the chairs.
All.
As we're
all
talking about
of them in
chairs,
town.
Skyla pulls the thing of honey out and like uncorks it. And she's like, Kaylee, you have to try this.
oh, is that some honey? Skyla, I don't know if you know this, but that's made from candy.
What? No wonder it's so sweet.
Exactly. Oh, be very careful, Skyla. If you
So
have
just,
too much
Wow.
honey, it will make you very sick.
I've had a lot of honey today and a lot of ale.
We're gonna get you some other things to have as well.
So, as you guys are having this conversation, Evac kind of butts in and goes, "Look, my tavern has been way too quiet since the quarantine started up. I'm probably losing money, but if you wanted to perform there, I would welcome it. And if you don't play the crumb horn, I'm okay with that. But I think it might bring some business in, and if you need a place to stay, some food, hey, we've got food."
Kaylee, it's really fun there. There's
Yeah,
I'm
so
assuming
many
they're like
cool
walking up while
chairs.
this is happening.
I would love to support your local establishment with some, it seems, much needed tales and music of the distant lands. Did you know that I'm actually the most recent winner of the Stonefall Festival?
She
Whatever
is
that festival
so
is called.
good.
The Gurn Carrot Festival?
That one, yes.
You won the Gurren Carrot Battle of the Bards.
She
I
beat
faced
Billy
down
and Joel.
Billy and Joel myself.
Both of them.
Had the pleasure of having Billy and Joel play in my tavern a few years ago.
Displeasure, you mean?
If that's the case, maybe.
Oh,
Chairs.
it is the case.
So many
I
chairs.
I learned a very special spell from that competition, and I think with a little bit of rest, I'd be able to show it to you. It's an ancient spell.
Wow. Yes. Well. And we'll go ahead and call the session there.
I was like, meanwhile, Nessa's giving very serious condolences to Master Tannel.
I know, fancy spell.
Yeah, so it's getting pretty late, I know. I think you guys all maybe have a little bit of some direction to go on. Or none whatsoever.
At the monastery, people are gonna convene, discuss some things.
Yeah, so I had a couple things that I'd like to kind of talk about before we sign off. But in the meantime, I wanted to thank everyone for coming out. If you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer them. I don't know if everyone's going to stay on for like a minute or two. But thank you for coming out. If you guys miss any of our episodes, they all go up on our YouTube, so you can find us, YouPick Gaming, on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at YouPick Gaming. That's the easiest way to find out what our schedule is. Our next D&D game that we have scheduled is next Sunday.
Oh my god.
Right? Yeah. Monday, the next Monday. So we on Sunday, and then on Monday, so we have Elysia Sunday. Monday is Curse of Strahd. Those are our next D&D games. Other than, well, yeah, and then Wednesday, but then we also have some video games and stuff that we play on Wednesdays. Alex, who plays Corin, plays Skyrim. He has Clancy, who's very good at necromancy and is very fancy. We also have a lot of stuff thrown in throughout there. We might have some Hammer Watch or some things like that go on. But definitely follow us on Twitter. That's the easiest way to keep track. Other than that, I love you all, and thank you for coming out, and thank you for hanging with us. It's been awesome having you guys in chat. Sorry I wasn't so active as I normally am. I'm just a little bit out of it today, so I apologize for that, but I really do appreciate you coming out.
Same.
For sure. Love you guys.
Give the stream delay time to catch up for them to ask questions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let them ask questions. All right, for the time being, you guys are going to be stuck in the quarantine. I don't know exactly what you guys have in mind, what you want to do, but until the quarantine is lifted, or until you guys actually take a direct route of doing one thing or the other, or getting yourself thrown in jail or something, whatever you decide, you guys are free to roam about the town, and there are things that you could probably do. Corin wanting to study his journal, Nessa probably wanting to work in the smithy, so start thinking about maybe some downtime activities.
Okay.
That's all. That's pretty much all I want to do. If you guys have any questions that weren't covered that you might
Spar?
Yeah.
Spar. So if you guys have any questions about what you want to do, or not question, what you want to do, what's available in the town. I imagine that for the rest of this afternoon, if you guys wanted to maybe walk around the town and just get the layout of it, you would be able to. It would only take you a few minutes. You'd be able to find where everything is. So you guys will know where the alchemist is. You'll know where the stuff is. You'll know all that stuff. So just start thinking about that for the next session of what you want to do. And other than that, if you guys have any questions, let me know.
So you're saying we could off-screen do these things?
Yeah, just get them, get an idea. If for the next few days you want to work in the smithy, just kind of have that in mind. Let me know.
Okay. What if I wasn't done talking to Master Tannel?
Yeah, we can wrap that up.
Okay.
No, he's dead. He's dead.
So
Let it go.
the Chaos has a question for each individual player. What inspired your character's personality?
That's a deep question. Good night.
Well, I guess I'll start first because I prefer. I subscribe to the religion of R and Jesus. I like dice rolls just generally. So in the PHB, they have the personality tables and such. So I believe I rolled, or I might have looked through them and chosen from there. But as I said, sort of at the break, I first wanted to play a druid, and just the class can inform a lot on the character's personality. So, druids, high wisdom, pretty serene. So, like earlier tonight, Kaylee tried to startle me when she was invisible, and Corin's just like, nope, I may not have known you were there, but just like, oh, okay, yes, that's Kaylee being Kaylee. Hi, Kaylee. So, like, yeah, Corin's ideals would almost, well, actually, I guess his background, the hermit, is also one of the suggested backgrounds for the monks, because a lot of them are like stereotypical monk things. It's like utterly serene, must be logical, no emotions, clouding judgment. But with the flaw that I ended up choosing, now that I've returned to the world, I enjoy its delights a little too much. Corin has a gambling problem. It doesn't come up all that often because the way I would typically go about playing that would just detract too much from the playtime of the others, of like trying to find out where the dice game is and stuff. But if it's there, he will gamble, and it's not going to. I mean, so far it's turned out okay. It's more of a, he has it under control, but
It's
that's
not a problem if you keep winning.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I know you said you didn't want to do that because you think it impedes on our playtime. If there was like a session where we just like find Corin like in an opium den, just like completely like out of his
Cleaning
mind,
everyone out.
I would, that would be a fun session. I'm just saying, you do you, and we'll
like
deal with it.
It could be a good session, but my first instinct would be to fully implement it as like a fully formed character trait, would be to pepper it throughout, and that would drag on and get tedious. But so
Well,
probably.
I mean, we were all super excited when Skyla found honey. So.
Yep.
Oh, Skyla.
But yeah, also just in terms of what inspired your character's personality. So a lot of it was the class and the stats, and because we do point by generally, and I mentioned again earlier, Hill Dwarf Druid is one of the best combos for wisdom and con, and so putting all my points in there wasn't a whole lot else because this was one of my first characters, I didn't want to take negatives really. So he's pretty average across the board except for wisdom and con, so his stats make him a little bit bland, and I try and play that a little, but and I'm just rambling on and on here. So Corin is also probably one of the most mysterious to the rest of the party. Like, out of character, they've mentioned a lot of like what's going on with Corin and stuff, and he does have a love interest back in Stonefall, but that's probably some of the most that Corin's personality has really come out, is that he has a boo thing, and that he cares about him, but he also is like, okay, no, we're on a Maelstrom Patrol mission, this is important, so I'll get back to you soon, Alonzo, but this is important business, so.
Anyone else? Yeah, Skyla.
So for Skyla, I took the stats out of the book, the 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8, and just went with what Rangers need at the top and kind of trickled down, and the last thing I had was 8 and intelligence, and I was like, well, guess I'm playing a dummy. So I pretty much I built the character, like her stats, before I even really had, I had Ranger stats, I didn't have her name and anything else. I had like the race and everything figured out as well. But basically, with the Air Genasi being dumb, just like airheaded, just worked too punnily, and just basically once I wrote her background, it was just like, okay, she has really low intelligence, so her background works in the fact that she grew up on the top of a mountain and had no education and has very little outside experience, and she's also really young. I decided because she was so low in intelligence that I would make her really young. When she left home, she was 17. During Maelstrom Patrol training, she turned 18, and so she's the baby of the group. And as far as other parts of her personality, I don't know. I mean, I basically I made her dumb from the get, and then I've just been building on that. So although she's not smart, she constantly learns things. And Kaylee taught her how to read and write Common. And a previous character taught her a little bit of Dwarvish, because she knew how to speak it, she didn't know how to read and write. So she's like constantly learning, constantly growing. And I think that's probably the biggest part of her personality.
And then another thing is, you keep using the word dumb, but I wouldn't describe Skyla as dumb.
So uneducated.
Well, not even uneducated. Like, yeah, she's, to me, is the big word for me is innocent. Like, Skyla has a really big innocence to her, and it manifests itself in an ignorance towards the way the world works, like she said. Yeah, she doesn't know how to read or write or anything like that, but she's very competent at what she does. She's actually one of the stronger, like, fighters that the group has, because that's what she grew up on. And
then her wisdom is, like, pretty decent. Yeah. Like, because she's a hunter, she's a ranger, she knows, like, a little bit about, like, common sense and stuff, but there's a lot of things she just hasn't experienced living on a snowy mountaintop. There's not going to be a lot of honey up there, and anyone that has honey is probably going to hoard it. You know, like, there's very minimal things. It's my honey. They keep it minimal up there because they're at the top of the mountain. They're harvesting ice. They don't, as long as they're warm and they're fed, they're doing their job. That's what the top of the mountain is for. So that's where she's simple. But because of that, it makes her, like, pretty complex, because there's a lot to go on. There's a lot of growth, a lot of learning, and she just, because of her innocence, like, she doesn't really lie. If someone tells her a lie, she's going to believe them. She's incredibly gullible, obviously, because she eats flowers as candy, because Kaylee told her that they were candy. She's terrified of frogs because Kaylee told her that they're, like, fearsome creatures.
Well, the bullywugs were also like giant frog things.
Yeah,
so.
Oh no, I told her this.
It was like a little frog, like a toad on the river, like, and she was like, "What's that?" Oh, that.
Be
careful.
careful.
Don't want it. Careful.
It's man-eating.
Just like, I float away.
I did not know that.
So while innocent, and I think Psionic Ranger said naivety is like a really big thing, but same with Corin, who's very mysterious, but we're peeling back the layers and we're learning more every time about him. With Skyla, she's kind of ignorant and innocent about the ways of the world, but every session she grows and matures more and more, so it's really cool to see.
Yeah.
Kaylee?
So Kaylee, when I decided to build a bard, I didn't want it. I kind of wanted it to be almost like an anti-bard. So she's not super flamboyant. She doesn't necessarily crave attention. It's just been the way that she has made a living because she lost her family when she was young, and so I wanted her to have more of a specific goal rather than like. Money and gold and riches and renown. Like, she still seeks renown, but it's not even for herself, it's for her family name. And so those were sort of the concepts I wanted to ride when building Kaylee, because I didn't want to play something that was too, I guess, stereotypical for what people think of when they think of a bard. A lot of gambling, a lot of drinking, a lot of whatever. She's actually really modest in all of those respects. She just loves her work, and instead her flaws come in the form of interpersonal relationships. She has a hard time with trust and stuff like that. So those were the kind of twists that I thought would be interesting with a bard.
Yeah. Ryan?
So, no?
No, I said it first. I did.
You didn't? We all heard that you didn't.
What? Well, fine. Okay, so I'm going to try and keep to the question of, like, how? What was the question? Like, how do I...
The inspiration for your character.
Yeah, so, okay. Well, oh gosh. Okay, so I started building her based on the picture I found because I was like, I want to make a character that I'm really, like, emotionally attached to. And so I was, like, looking for character pictures. Like, maybe something will spark when I, like, see a face. What? And so... And then I found this picture of a girl with a glaive and then, like, light in one hand. And, like, I don't know, for some reason I was like, I could do something with this. And then, just like Corin said, about with, like, the point buy, like, I kind of built her character on that. Like, she's not very wise, but she's, like, really strong. Like, I felt like she'd be someone who's, like, a person of action who doesn't necessarily, like, look at the situation first and kind of probably gets herself in trouble for that reason. But, like, and her low deck score, I was like, why would she have a low deck score? She, like, if she's working with polearms, then she obviously, like, knows footwork and stuff. And what happened? Oh, she was injured. Okay. And then all this sort of thing. I was like, how was she injured? She fell down a ravine. Why? And, like, and all just, like, I don't know. I just snowball. And then just the fact that I came in late to the campaign and just the way that she had to come in really informed the character that she is. Which was, as I mentioned in the beginning of the session, like, they found her as a prisoner for 5 months, like, keeping all these other survivors of the monastery alive. And I'm just like, what kind of a person would be able to handle that for 5 months? And, like, where would she have come from and how would she have become that kind of person? So, yeah. Also, I really liked the Undying Light of the Unearthed Arcana. I was like, it's like a warlock, but nice! And I wanted that.
Yeah. And we had to make a couple changes to it. Actually, most of the homebrew, I think, that we've made between a few to very extensive changes to make it fit and be balanced. But I think it worked out pretty well in the end. Oh, yeah.
So for the rest
really
of
thoughtful. It's
the
pretty good.
evening, you're gonna get mental in that it's not an awful pose by any means,
okay.
but
It's okay.
Ryan?
yep.
Yeah. Alaric.
Well, I mean, we've already talked about me, like, a couple times this session, so
We're fine.
just bouncing off of it is just, like, what my inspiration was, like, I just wanted to play a freaking cliche. I just wanted to play the White Knight. I wanted to play a human noble paladin and just, like, let's do the thing, you know? That's all I wanted to play. But I feel like
We ruined it.
no. Well, I think the way that I discovered that I play, well, at least in this campaign, and I think it'll be in every campaign I play, I'm just really reactive to what happens. Like, Alaric, like we mentioned earlier, was super. I kind of had in mind that he was, like, super cocky before we actually played, and then when I played, I'm like, oh, he is not cocky. He's actually really insecure because no one knows, like, no one cares about him. You know what I mean? And so, like, my concept, my inspiration was completely changed, like, from the first session, and then every session after that, there's been something that Alaric will face that informs who he is. And so I would say, to answer the question, my inspiration was a cliche, and I just react to what happens.
I agree with that. Like, I thought Nessa was one thing, and then, like, once I got into my first sessions, I was like, oh, hello.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and that's a big thing for me. As the GM, seeing the players, like, because I create the situations and then they have to, like, overcome, circumvent, or adapt to them. And so watching them hit the situation, like, full on and seeing what it does to their characters, and a good example of it, because it took up a lot of the first portion of the campaign. We're transitioning into other people's stories right now, and no one knows where the ball's going to land. But Alaric had a huge hand in the very first part of the campaign, and a lot of it, up until, like, a few sessions ago, was focused on him, and he went through a lot. And how he came out on the other side of it was really interesting to me. But at one point, he was basically like fighting his own god and like struggling against like the type of god that this deity was, and then he was cursed, and then he was trying to kill his friends, but the curse wasn't exactly what he thought it was, and then at the like last second, his deity like came through for him, and there was like, so there's this tension there, but there's this like kind of acceptance, and it's really cool to see, I think.
Yeah, it is.
And I can't wait for everyone else to get theirs, and I'm looking at the person who it is right now.
But your
How
camera's
convenient.
frozen,
My
you
camera's
troll.
You troll.
I know who it is.
And I'm like, I don't know.
So
I know who it is. It's okay.
It's so, I don't know. This group, this group is so good to play with. Guys.
we have a lot of things that are kind of hanging out there. I mean, Alaric has some leads to go on, but like the main chunk of his first part of the story is kind of wrapped up with some loose ends that we don't have to talk about. Bulgrim.
What's a loose end?
No, I'm kidding.
Yes, it is.
Messing with Nessa. Kaylee has the very like obvious thread that she's pulling at, where she's like on this never-ending quest to find out what happened to her dad, and she finally got like a bit of information, and it's locked away in her hand. She can't access it.
More for life.
Nessa has like ongoing trauma, but she also has like this like insurmountable task that was given to her with little to no information. Corin is kind of just like along for the ride for now. And Skyla has some stuff, but she hasn't picked up on it because she's Skyla. So there's that.
Oh, her face. Oh,
well, like I kind of know what it is, but I figured it out much too late.
Never seen it.
Slash I was kind of told, but not really. I was given like a broad hint, and I was like, damn it.
Well, I mean, the whole group saw it.
did
I
we?
know, but it was like,
Not you.
oh yeah.
Okay, I was like, I don't remember.
You're locked in the basement still.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of threads, and the cool thing is no one knows which way to go and what's going to happen. And my favorite part is that you guys are in the town here for you don't have to be here. Like, you didn't have to come in, you didn't have to even go. You could have told the Hitchy no. There's so many things that could have been done to not be in the quarantine right now, and you are, and it's not tied to anyone's personal stuff, and it's really cool to me.
Well,
You hinted so strongly that we should have been here like 5 sessions ago,
it's
though.
true.
So
Oh, because I just assumed that you guys would go.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with Nessa getting a thing saying go and give this, but I honestly thought there was like a real chance that when you got to like the harbor and they said, oh, this is under quarantine, you guys would be like, well, here's your letter, and
We tried.
Yep.
We did try.
return to
I did mention this is not wise, right? I did mention that.
So it's kind of
even
interesting.
the
And I
wise
think
one
that,
was like, we
How
have to
unwise.
hand deliver this
Yeah.
letter.
well, but see, I think that it was like at least 3 or 4 or 1 or 2. Like there was a majority of maybe we shouldn't, and then for some reason you guys went in anyway.
I know, it was
Well,
great.
because-
Kelly was like, we shouldn't, and Nessa was like, I'm doing it. And then she was like, I guess we're all doing it.
Because one person did it, and then was like, well,
Oh, Skylar went in first, though. Skylar was like, I don't even care.
But it was
It's
like
like-
Leroy Jenkins. He went in. Oh, he went in after him. Go after him.
yeah, I mean, we're ride or dies. We can't just let one person go in. Like, we have to.
It was pretty cool.
Skylar was adorable. She was like, I don't know what the quarantine is. Stamp my hand. I don't care. Do it right here.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, but we went well over.
Yeah, I'm like completely exhausted and I want to go to bed.
Uh,
I have 4 more hours of training tomorrow.
Thanks for the incredible question, the chaos.
yeah.
Digging deep. And
Oh,
still trying to maintain some mystery.
there's so many questions rolling in now. Oh my gosh.
What?
Or at least things to talk about.
They're
Yeah.
just talking, it's not really questions. I'm getting off. I'm exhausted. I have to get ready for
I
it
think
tomorrow.
we'll probably call it an evening, but I mean, we'll at least a few. So I will be on Wednesday evening to play Skyrim with Clancy the Necromancer. typically at least 1 or 2 people from UPIC Gaming will be in chat, so if you guys want to talk things then, I can also just give you my own personal ruminations on the party and what's going on. But yeah, our next official thing that is scheduled will be Wednesday. We may stream other stuff in the interim, and then Sunday's Alicia, next Monday is Curse of Strahd, and that's what we have scheduled currently.
And if you just want to talk to us, tweet at us.
Yep.
And then a big thing too is, and I say this all the time, is the more interest that is expressed, especially like on Twitter, about us doing more streams, the more that we'll put out there, because we put out a lot right now, as much as our schedules will allow. So we have like map tutorials and like homebrew breakdown discussions and stuff that we want to do. And if there's enough interest in there, it'll probably get us to move some things around and squeeze a couple extra things in. So interact with us, hit us up. Let us know what you guys want to see and what you guys like to see from us, and we'll do our best to try and put more out for you. Other than that, I know my camera's frozen, but I'm waving at you all. I love you. I'm going to bed because I work in the morning.
Yep.
Good night, and thank you for hanging out. It was a blast.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.